lives up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has maintained that he has no grudge against his political opponents following his removal from office. Speaking at a church service here in Nairobi, Gachagua urged Kenyans to remain calm despite the recent political atmosphere that led to his impeachment. At the same time, Gachagua has called on the government to continue in the fight against illicit brew and drugs.
Tusikubali hiyo pombe irudi, tusikubali madawa irudi, kwa sababu hawa ni watoto wa Kenya na ni kesho yetu, na hao vijana ndio tegemeo letu. Hiyo tunaomba tu kwa heshima kwa serikali yetu tukufu ya kwamba hii pombe isikubaliwe kurudi, kwa sababu ni kazi mingi sana tulifanya kwa miaka miwili kupigana na hiyo pombe haramu, na itakuwa ni jambo la aibu ikiwa hiyo pombe itarudi, kwa sababu sisi hatuko pale ofisini.
Former JKIA woman representative Kate Waruguru, who's Gachagua's ally, has said that they are now past the storm and looking forward to better days for the nation.
Na kwa hivyo watu wakituona tumenyamaza, waache kushinda wakituambia hapa ati sisi ni watu waoga. We are not going to allow you to take us through that path of incitement and making ridicule of our community. We have invested in this country and over beyond. We are into the diaspora, every corner of the world. This community, we are seriously invested. Nobody is going to incite us against the other communities.
The Kenyan candidate for the top position in the African Union Commission Championship, Raila Odinga, now has 3 months to go around the entire African continent to encourage the heads of state and government to support his ambition. The campaign has gained momentum after Raila expressed his willingness to change Africa if he is elected in the February elections set for next year. Speaking in Homa Bay County, Raila has continued to defend his ambition, saying he has a strategy to ensure the youth of Africa are empowered through technology that will allow them develop themselves economically.
Tuko na vijana wetu hapa. Vijana tuko na wengi zaidi. Na vijana wana ujuzi kabisa. Vijana ambao wamesoma lakini kazi hakuna. Si kazi hakuna. Tutafuata mbinu ya kupatia vijana wote kazi. Vijana wote wataweza kufanya kazi. Hapa Kenya sawasawa tuko na vijana ambaye wamejua mambo ya AI kabisa. Sivyo? Na tukitambaa hii mtambo ya AI kila mahali, vijana wanaweza kufanya kazi huko hapa, unafanya kazi kwa kampuni kule India.
A new troop of 600 police officers to be sent to Haiti is ready to leave the country this month after completing their training last Friday. The group includes women's special forces from the weapons and special tactics teams. It is reported that the inclusion of women in the Haitian mission forces has resulted from the need for female officers to deal with the women victims who are suffering in the ongoing war in Haiti. The officers from the GSU and SWAT units are ready to join the International Security Assistance Mission led by Kenya in restoring peace in Haiti. The readiness of the new group to go to Haiti has come just a few days after President William Ruto said he had a telephone conversation with US President-elect Donald Trump about the peace operation in Haiti. And has your child been vaccinated for polio? The Ministry of Health has moved to dispel fears. The death of 2 minors and adverse reactions of 23 children during the polio vaccination drive between 2nd to 6th October was as a result of the vaccine. Director General of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, and officials from the Kenya Pediatric Association, the Kenya National Safety Vaccine Advisory Committee, assured the public of the safety of the polio vaccine, saying the deaths of the minors and reactions to some of the minors were found to be coincidental. Those who experienced reactions were resolved over time, noting that health events happen around the time of vaccination by chance and are not caused by the vaccine itself. Amoth has urged parents and caregivers to continue immunizing their children and to participate in the second round of the 5-day polio vaccination campaign that kicked off on Saturday and is expected to come to an end on Wednesday this week. And in the international scene, President-elect Donald Trump will meet with President Joe Biden in the Oval Office on Wednesday, the White House has announced. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement that the two would meet at 11 a.m. at Biden's invitation, adding that additional details about the meeting will be released. Incoming First Lady Melania Trump has also been invited to the White House to meet with the First Lady Jill Biden. An official in the East Wing told CNN, though it is unclear when that might happen. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aye, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
What are they saying? How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes. My name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tuned into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are in our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to Monday. What's happening as we get into the week? Not much on these streets. quick look at what's coming off of the northern bypass. Traffic is going to go smooth all the way through to Kiambu Road, and we're looking good on Outer Ring as well as you come out through towards North Airport Road. As you come off Mombasa Road, that part GM has been opened, so I don't think we'd have an issue here. But it doesn't look like they're done, so we might want to come back in a few days and say, well, how about we close it again? But for now, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that you'll get through Monday without too much of an issue. Gong Road, it looks pretty good as well. And as you're coming off the southern bypass towards Mombasa Road, or getting on the southern bypass through towards the Langata interchange, I think we're looking good, at least for now. Let's see what Monday morning has in store. Where are you as you traverse? Let's talk and keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hello? 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 Am I here alone? I can see you. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
So I've not left the earth. The rapture hasn't happened. I'm not actually in heaven, and I've not approached the pearly gates and talked to St. Peter. I'm still here on earth.
Just pause.
If you all are here.
Good morning, Ndu.
Oh, good morning. Hello?
How are you today?
I'll answer that in a bit, but you know.
Okay, but you can hear me?
Yes.
All right. Can you see me waving?
I can see you waving. Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. Eric, good morning.
Yeah?
All right, that's a good response. Eric is around.
Yeah?
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
How are you?
I don't know.
All right, both of you don't know anything. Can you see me waving?
No. Where are you?
All right, that's good. Eric is
Enter
here.
the room, Buana. Don't be waving from outside and asking whether we can see you waving.
How art thou doing this morning?
I art fine.
Fantastic.
And thou art what?
I am well, thank you.
Or should I say, thou art whence?
Yeah. It's I. It warms my heart to see thee.
Your heart,
you know how they used to talk?
Your heart gathereth warmth.
Thank you very much. Gathereth. Ndio gathereth.
Mko sawa?
Ndio tuko.
Inaonekana.
Na tunajaribu tu.
Clearly, nyinyi mko sawa.
Hii weekend. Nilikuwa nasikia Commodores.
Oh, bas.
Alafu
nikasikia Lionel mwenyewe. Yes.
Alafu
ile is it me you're waiting for?
Hello. Unaona sasa vile nilianza. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, that is why I went to Commodores, then came to Lionel. Hello. Si nyimbo inaitwa Hello.
Is it me you're looking for?
That one.
I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile. You're all I'll ever wanted. My arms are open wide. Kitu kama hiyo.
Lionel, asante kwa kuja Kenya.
Basi endelea.
I wonder where you are, and I wonder what you do. Are you somewhere feeling lonely, or is someone loving you? Hey, yeah.
Oh, brother,
Lionel Richie, Jermaine.
Alikruni hiyo kitu Weza.
But let me start by saying I love you.
Telling you, don't joke.
Don't joke,
Don't
man.
joke,
By the time he tells you that one.
Joke. Don't joke. Don't joke, man. Don't joke. Ni sawa. Mambo iko vipi? Iko sawa sio?
Salama salmini.
Karibuni sana katika kipindi cha leo. We have a lot to discuss today. We will start with some financial literacy. Stanbic Bank's role in legacy planning, wealth transfer and exclusive banking solutions. We have talked about Stanbic being voted the number one private bank in Kenya. Abraham Ongenge is the head of personal and private banking at Standard Bank. He'll be joining us at 7 a.m. to tell us about that. And then at 8, we'll talk about the sorry state of child labor and trafficking in Kenya. Yeah, child labor is a big thing. Do we consider it as child labor, or is it just, normal family thing? I mean, okay. What is trafficking? And we'll hear about this from the country office director for International Labour Organization in Kenya, Caroline Mungala, and Andrew Odete, who's the engagement and partnership building officer at the ILO CAPSA project. He'll tell us what the CAPSA project is all about. So the two ladies and gentlemen from ILO will be joining us at 8 a.m. to talk about child trafficking and child labor. We'll also talk about jurisprudence, the constitution, and the system behind the courtroom from two people. These are two Kenyans, Dr. Clarence Eboso, who's a medical doctor, and Wanjiru Mwangi, and both of them are activists, right activists, and public interest litigants. They were both admitted to the Rigathi Gachagua case representing public interest. Dr. Clarence Eboso was involved in the BBI case. Also, again, in that case, public interest. And he was just there as the personal litigant representing himself. No lawyer, no nothing. It was him. So they'll come and give us the experience. Why are they doing these things? Why are you going to court and just spending your time and
case after case?
Yeah, case after case. What is it? Nini
inaleta nini?
Ina boil kwa damu yako. Ufanye mambo kama hiyo. So 9 a.m., that's the conversation we'll have with the two of them. It's 16 minutes after 6. Hoping that you had a lovely weekend. Livestream is up. Lydiah has done the thing. So say hello to Lydiah, everybody. And also say hello to Asha on social media. To Frank, who is with Radio Maisha. And then you can, if you so wish, say hi to us. Yeah. 16 minutes after 6. Tell us about the weather. Okay.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
We might see partly sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning. It's currently 16 degrees with highs of 21, and we'll see highs of 23 in a mostly clear Nakuru at 14, 15 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 21, while at 14 Eldoret is clear. It'll go to highs of 23, 27, and it will be sunny through Monday in Mombasa with highs of 32 and highs of 31 and lows of 25 in Malindi. It's 20 and cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 29, while at 17 Kakamega is clear. We'll see highs of 28. Kampala at 18 is mostly cloudy with highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam at 26 is sunny, going to highs of 31 and lows of 25. Cloudy conditions at 14 in Johannesburg with highs of 20 and lows of 13, while Mogadishu will be sunny at 25 currently, going to highs of 32. It's 11 degrees and clear in Addis Ababa, and we'll see highs of 23. We're looking into a clear Lagos this Monday at 25 with highs of 32, while Kinshasa at 23 is cloudy. We'll see highs of 30. Beijing Monday afternoon is sunny at 12 degrees, going to highs of 14 and lows of 6. It's 5 degrees and cloudy in Paris with highs of 12, and we'll see highs of 12 in a mostly cloudy London at 12, currently coming down to lows of 7. Sunday night in New York is rainy at 14, coming into Monday. Those will be the highs with lows of 13.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Naona kama Don Sabo ameamka hata nini duvet is already asking CT questions. A question to CT. Did Kindiki say any foreign trips? Wait. Did he do... Okay, your spelling is just throwing me off. Did he take any foreign trips when he was a CS? CT. But, even before the ink has dried, he's in... Where was he? Botswana? Malawi?
Did Kindiki? Did he take trips?
Did he take any foreign trips when he was CS?
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, just but CS take trips all the time, just not announced.
No, but Kindiki himself.
I don't know.
You don't know? But you can see now that he's the deputy president, he has taken trips.
Was he?
He went to Malawi, Botswana, one of the Namibia.
To do what?
Something there.
You know, Botswana had an election, remember?
Bas, that one.
And the party that has led Botswana since independence lost for the first time. Okay? So I don't know when it is that they are going to swear in the new president.
But was sworn in immediately in a boardroom.
Behind closed doors.
Then that is the reason why probably Kindiki went.
Okay.
I know, I'm just guessing because sometimes you need a deputy president to represent the president in such
one or two things.
C'est vrai. C'est très vrai.
Yeah.
That's remember his principal assistant.
Yes.
Yes, and this is a big thing. Yes.
What we want to tell me? Danson Wara says, good morning. Daughter of Africa. Nice. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Indeed. This is the day. Waithaka Nyai Cairo says, good morning. Team Spice. It seems Murima going to church will be an uphill task. I'm telling you, it's not a small wahala. They don't even want him to go to church.
No small. No small.
Not small.
Okay.
Musi L says, good morning. Good morning, Kenya. Linus Gitonga says, good. I don't care. It's Linus. Good morning, Spicy team. Good morning to you. Mashari Anjero is tuned in this morning. Cry, my beloved country from Portland, Oregon. Why are you crying? Angeline Yongesa says, good morning. Happy New Week, everybody. Tuned in from Bahrain is David Weeds. And he's asking, where's Ednah? Ednah went on leave. It's a good thing. She was growing a human. Okay? Ali Ado says, Nikolai, County 001, good morning. R says, Tibim. What does Tibim mean, by the way?
Tialala.
Is it just a thing like
Tibim? Tialala.
Bosa.
Yeah.
Nigeria. 3 Bosas. Bosa. Tibim. Tip like that.
Yes.
Aria.
Inofa kwenu. Like that.
We'll ask Babu,
Okay. We'll ask him.
You know, anything that's onomatopoeic of that nature, it's supposed to signify some emphasis. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like somebody hit me, poop. He didn't actually hit you, poop.
He didn't actually hit you, poop. That would be gross. Yes. But okay. Events by Morgan says, good morning. Jack Atambo is also saying good morning. Question, Ruto alitoa wapi namba ya Trump? See, these guys, they talk to each other. They have their mobile phones, Abi. Once you get into the president's club, you guys all kind of like swap contacts. One would assume.
Surely.
Waking up to Love Spice. Sita wacha wapenzi wangu. Well done, Josephat Moirero. Well done. Good morning, Situation Room. Getting you loud and clear from the Lone Star State. That is Texas. Good morning to you. Eric, ask Ndu and CT why they are sharp dressers, but could not come up with a Kenyan national dress. I beg you, people should not involve me in that story.
Sure.
Biko. I beg. Don't.
See, now, with all your utterances, you do know what tilala.
now you can see.
Because in my language means please.
You've tilalad yourself, so
tilalad myself.
Yes.
Papdi, I don't have answer for you, I beg. Eunice Okello says good morning. Jake says it's Monday and the 3 Musketeers are at it. Yes, we are here. You're from South America. Where? There are only 20-something countries in South America. Good morning, team. One, the biggest conversation. Indeed, we are ready for the week. Waithaka says Sandra Sheria is tuned in from Costa Rica. Isaac Moai says good morning from Doha. Agola, good morning, Watu. Good morning, Mtu. Good morning, everybody. Now, Apenda Sana. Thank you, Carol. Good morning to you. My friend is Jesus Christ says, I can see you. Well, good morning. I don't know what we call you. Do we call you my friend, Jesus Christ? This country has become corrupt, says my prince. So corrupt to an extent that someone has become a whistleblower. Mtua Mawaya has become a whistleblower. Majabu. Okay, sawa. Douglas Kibogong says good morning. David Shege Dungo is greeting us. Jimmy Wekesa is also here. Jeremiah Wanjala is also saying it is cold. Where is it cold? Imagine having been in the warmth of Mombasa and now you're in Nairobi. Hey, sorry. Duta, which is one of the names that people used to call me when they could not pronounce Ndu, is saying good morning. Ellen Venya says good morning from Masai Mara. Guys, thank you for being here every morning. We see you, Margaret. Eric Ndugu. I don't know if I will butcher the language, and I don't know that if I'm saying something that's kosher. So I will just say good morning to you, Eric. Raphael, good morning. Dennis, Sam, another Eric. Nashon, Dante, everybody, good morning. Karibuni Sana.
Yes, City. Are we still south of the Sahara?
Yes, and north of that.
North of the Limpopo. Where exactly?
We are in the East African country that borders the Indian Ocean. It is next to the country in Africa which has the longest sea coast beach line ever. It also borders Ethiopia, and it borders Southern Sudan, and it borders Tanzania, and it borders Uganda. Which country do you think we are in?
Tutatenga.
Kenya.
Tutatenga.
Na tutatenga?
Tutashikana.
Tutapanga.
Tutafanya.
Na tumekubaliana. Which part of Kenya? Now, you know, when you come to Kenya, you don't just say like Kenya.
No, you have to say Kenya. Because if I don't say Kenya,
Kenya, where in Kenya? I
am going to have a problem. Because why did you? So the proverbs are in Kiswahili, and then they're translated into English. So sawa. This one, I like it because it gave me problems pronouncing. Okay? Okay. Chui hakumbatiwi.
That's it.
That's it.
Huh?
You know Chui? You know what Chui is?
Yeah, wait. I've seen it in the park. Wait.
Feline.
It's cheetah.
No,
cheetah.
you were right. You are right the first time before you decided to now doubt yourself.
Leopard.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, okay. It's leopard. Oh, okay. So what's cheetah?
He has another name like Duma or something.
Oh, okay.
It's called a Duma. That's correct.
Right. Okay, so I was right. Leopard. Chui has what?
Akumbatiwi.
Don't know. I can't help you.
A leopard is not embraced.
Except by another leopard. Or its babies. It's cubs.
A leopard is not?
Embraced by a non-leopard.
Yes. Did you know that Kenya is a unitary presidential republic?
You're kidding. Okay.
Is it?
Did you know?
Okay.
Do you know that the Chinese and the Portuguese visited this coast very, very many years ago? In fact, the Chinese would have done much better than the Portuguese, except they got an emperor who decided this foreign exploration, they're wasting their time.
Okay.
Their country is big enough, they can do their own thing. Did you know?
No.
You didn't know? Okay. And the official languages, you know, Kiswahili and English. Though the national language is Kiswahili.
Nice.
That's why the proverbs are in Kiswahili.
In Kiswahili.
Yes.
Hakumbatiwi.
Yes.
So hug or embraces.
Kumbatia.
Yes.
Kumbatia. Okay, sawa.
Not kumbaf.
Kumbatia. You guys are crazy, but okay.
Headlines of the
on the front page of the Standard, you're not gonna like this.
Morning.
But all right, let's see what it's talking about. Broke Kenyans.
What did you give this lady?
That's it.
Kwa nini amegia ARI WF, you know, and
don't
so
worry
forth.
about it.
Sinwe program that because a Kenyan. You've Kenyanized her.
All right, carry on, sister.
Broke Kenyans are being forced to steal. Government reports from the government, not anybody else, that the surge in crime could be linked to high levels of unemployment in the country, indicating that harsh economic conditions and the pressure to feed families are driving Kenyans to commit serious crimes. Where? Hello? Okay. I don't know. There's also a graphic here, the good, the bad, ugly of Rootonomics. The last time that we've probably heard an ism or an ix against the name of a president was with Ronald Reagan in the States, and it was Reaganomics. But Reaganomics was really high on capital, saying, make money, make money, make money. That's what we're here for. In this case, could be a little bit different. 2.7% inflation, 127 shillings to the US dollar. 6.7% fuel prices increase. Public debt, 67%. My God. President William Ruto's toughest assignment as he charts his third year in office is fixing the economy. He blames the sluggish growth on political intrigues. That with a new deputy president and a broad-based government, what does the future hold? Those are questions. Chinese projects face myriad legal security hurdles. Marketers want prices of fuel raised. Are they crazy? But they want it anyway. You know, you can want whatever you want. If you're in the film industry, you have a reason to smile. Government has announced plans to issue tax exemptions for film industry products in the country, according to CS Kipchumba Murkomen, he said this will elevate the sector. Voila. In politics, there's a thin line between friends and enemies. There's a picture of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and it says that he and his deputy at the time were the political force. However, the bromance turned into an intense rivalry whose source is yet to be explained. Sawa?
Yes.
All right. On the front page of the Nation, a similar one. Ruto taxes create two classes of Kenyans. Since President William Ruto took office 26 months ago, he has raided the payslips of salaried Kenyans 3 times. 4 for those who earn over 500,000 shillings, most recently in October. While the deductions have been effected on the pay of both private workers and public servants, the latter have a soft landing with fat allowances and pay increments, which help cushion them from the full impact of new taxes. So he's got a lot of work to do, according to this at-a-glance picture. How father's elusive death certificate has thwarted a girl's America move. Look at that. It has been revealed that the police had a bid to block Gachagua from Nairobi church. Surely. Kwenda church ni kitu ya mtu bwana.
Surely.
Tattoo City Wars. Come, this Tattoo City will never open them.
It's open.
So what's the problem?
People live there.
That's what I thought.
And they've been living there for some time.
That's what I thought.
And factories are
going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're still saying that there are wars. So let's see.
Yeah.
The AUC elections are into full gear. We saw the unveiling of many things over the weekend. C'est ça, voilà.
Voila. Hiya, the Business Daily. Kenya seeks IMF help to reintroduce carbon tax.
Well, they did, why don't they just reintroduce hard tax?
I mean, why stop?
And while they
I think the best one is what's under carbon. Carbon you're breathing out. You should introduce oxygen tax.
For breathing in?
Okay. Kenya has sought the assistance of the IMF with introducing a carbon tax on goods without sparking social unrest. After the deadly protests against the new taxes in June and July, the IMF is expected to help identify the products that would attract the tax that's gaining currency in the developed world. Kenya could also introduce an emission trading system, a cap and trade system that allows those industries with low emissions to sell their extra allowances to larger emitters. Well, it is too complicated. It's too complicated. Too complicated. There are countries with carbon taxes. For example, Sweden has $127.26 per carbon emission. Norway, 107. Spain, UK, Canada, Germany, France, Australia, China, South Africa. As of 2024, these are the countries that have a carbon tax. Okay? Safaricom is raising alarm over turning pay bills into KRA tax registers. They are expressing concern over government plans to turn mobile money pay bills and till numbers into ETRs, warning that the move could hurt usage of its M-Pesa payment services and dent the progress made in the digitization of payments in Kenya. The telecoms operator has served the warning amid the continued adoption of its M-Pesa platform, especially sign-ups to Pochi la Biashara, a product allowing small business owners, including food vendors and matatu operators, to separate business from personal funds. Now, here we are. We have taken up all these things, and then the government is like, actually, if you're transacting like that, we want to know. Tax disputes deny KRA 313 billion shillings revenue. Ethiopians use M-Pesa for airtime and data. Ethiopians are mainly using M-Pesa to buy airtime and data, snubbing its other offerings like sending cash, borrowing, and paying for insurance. They're only buying M-Pesa. They're using M-Pesa to buy airtime and data. They're not sending money. Ethiopians need to learn one or two things. You have M-Pesa just for buying data.
You have to start somewhere.
And you can't send to... Kenyan eyes favourable loans for most projects, and pension fund returns fall to 0.4% in Q3. There's also a feature here, why we bite our nails and how to stop it. Page 19 of the Business Daily. City, the Star.
Yes, top right-hand corner until green. Probe shifts to Hashim's terror links after his city killing spree. Remember the story of this gentleman who was linked to the murder of 3 individual lady, her daughter and a niece in Italy?
Yes.
Yes, it is now being said that this man is actually not Kenyan.
No, he's not.
And they're trying to figure out how on earth he even got a Kenyan ID. Among the things they say is this man can't speak Swahili or English. Okay? But then he supposedly made a trip to Turkey, pretending he was some businessman from Kenya and extorted money from people. It's a long story, this one.
Yeah.
Okay? So now they are saying, the story is on page 20, there are links that they believe he has to some terror groups, okay? This is an unfolding story, and whoever it is who arranged for him to get an ID can consider themselves that they're in some boiling water even as we speak.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And the water is heading in the direction. 600 more cops ready for Haiti mission deployment after completing training. Okay? New bill. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. New bill seeks to lock out foreigners from Kenyan tenders to boost local firms.
Okay.
I don't know what they're talking about, but there it is. CECs among 7 top Nandi officers on firing line over corruption and incompetence. Let me just read this thing again.
CECs
among top Nandi officers, that's Nandi County, on the firing line over corruption and incompetence. Okay. This is the story on page 23. So it's either they've got a choice. You're either incompetent or corrupt. Choose.
But you're going home.
But you're going home. So you decide. If you want to be generous with yourself, you can be both. Okay. Power scheme. Allies say alliance between the two leaders possible before the year ends. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the story that is bang in the middle of the paper. Ricky G and Kalonzo plot Ruto political revenge. Okay?
Is that right?
All right. Gachagua asked Mount Kenya voters to send home betrayers who were used to impeach him. The story is on page 4 and 5. And then there's a picture of Ruto, Mudavadi on the one hand, then Gachagua, and a gentleman who is called Pastor JJ of Priesthood Fellowship Church in Kahawa West, shaking hands. And this guy, Mudavadi and Ruto are flanked by some ecclesiastical-looking fellow. It belongs to a Kambuli Church of God in Khwisero. That is Church of God. Yes.
Watu walikuwa kanisa chana.
But this is...
Inakuanga Sunday.
No. This country, people have to go to church on Sunday. You don't know what they've been doing the whole week. Okay? So it is important that they go to church.
To cleanse something.
Yes, to sort out certain things.
And the People Daily has a photo here of Raila Odinga holding what looks like a Bible written NKJV. What would that be?
The New King James Version.
Yeah. Raila, I'm in the race for AU job as an African lion. The former Prime Minister has told Kenyans that he was in the race for the AU Commission chairman as an African lion and brave enough to face any of his challenges. They have a story on page 9, why fight on illicit brew has failed. They have a feature on Healthy Planet, perfect body enthusiasts opt for risky surgical procedures. And then the main headline in the Star, the People Daily today, has a photo of Julius Ogamba. Who is he? Julius Ogamba is the
CS for
Education. He's here shaking hands with his students when he monitored the start of KCSE Kiswahili paper at KP Senior Secondary School in Kilifi County on November 8th. The headline says, fears over exam transport crisis. Petroleum dealers are threatening not to fuel vehicles that are ferrying papers after state fails to honor its side of the bargain.
For crying out loud, man.
Yeah, do sajabisho ya Musa ujaona ya Firauni bana. Katika Taifa Leo, Magharibi wataka Mudavadi arithi Kindiki. Wasema mkuu wa mawaziri ana tajriba tosha ya wadhifa huo.
Did what to the river?
Ana tajriba tosha. Fits the bill, meets the master. Akwe CS wa Indiria. Sasa sijui kama wanataka aje kwa private.
He's Mofa. He's already Mofa.
He's acting. He's
acting CS, but he's Mofa.
He's Mofa, he's prime CS. Watu wa West wanataka apewa ongezewe pia hii. Hakuna tajriba bwana.
Tajriba is what? Sounds like a disease.
Ndio ile kitu Mudamu Savili yako nayo. Maskini Man City miti yote yateleza. Haya. Kindiki utekaji nyara ukome. Akizungumza akiwa Taita, naibu rais amesema serikali haitavumilia utekaji zaidi. Utekaji nyara is kidnap. Kindiki amesema utekaji nyara ukome. Now that he is deputy president, he is instructing that we should not have cases of kidnapping in this country.
Oh, for crying out loud again
He
in
says
less than
the
2 minutes.
serikali haitavumilia, will not tolerate
what exactly?
Will not tolerate what? Will not tolerate
kidnapping
there
of
are 29
citizens.
people right now who their whereabouts are
The
unknown.
government will not tolerate.
Wait, folks. There's something maybe we're missing here.
There's got to be, because I can't connect.
There's a lot that you're missing.
I can't connect at all.
Let me tell you about Safaricom. Bunge la mulika Safaricom laanza kuchunguza ripoti kuwa shirika hilo linafichua habari za kibinafsi. Sikia bana. Kalonzo adunishwa na mbunge. Caleb Amisi adai washirika wake wa kisiasa ni wadhaifu, naye hana sifa tosha. Caleb Amisi is telling Kalonzo, bwana, the people around you weak. You
weaker. Nyinyi wote?
As a young man called Caleb Amisi was not brought up well.
Lakini has kahunas of
Talking to elders, man.
He was not brought up well, not at all.
There are things.
Katikati mwa gazeti.
Yeah.
Kuna picha moja hapa ya Raila Odinga ako juu ya motogari, wamechomoza vichwa wakiwa na gavana wa Homa Bay. Gavana wa Homa Bay anaitwa nani? Gladys Wanga, sio? Yeye ndio mwenyekiti wa chama cha ODM, sio? Raila aanza kuaga siasa za Kenya kwa kusimamia hafla ya urithi wa uongozi wa ODM katika ngome yake ya Nyanza. So jana kulikuwa na hafla kule Nyanza.
Hafla?
Hafla.
Shughuli.
Basi.
Sasa ile hafla ilikuwa ya urithi wa uongozi wa ODM.
Inheritance.
Sawa bana.
Shughuli ya inheritance za ODM. And yani, who's going to pass over the torch or the mantle? So why can't they just say, okay.
Aonekana kuaga wa Kenya kwa kupewa baraka za mwisho, huku macho yake akiwa katika kiti cha AUC. Jana alinyoshewa mikono akaambiwa, tumebariki wewe.
Go forth.
Enda chukua hiyo adis. Lete ukwe president wa Afrika.
Baraka za Mungu.
Headline nasema kwa heri ya Raila. Sawa bana.
People will know by January like this.
Sawa bana. Amambua kwa heri na usirudi.
Huyo anarudi. Ndukai, sorry.
Usirudi.
Is this a 1-year term or 3-year term?
Whatever happen, usirudi. Wewe enda huko.
Enda huko.
19 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
It's looking like a slow Monday morning if the streets is anything to go by. Outer Ring all the way through from the Thika Superhighway to North Airport Road, free, clear, not a smidgen of traffic. We've got some survey traffic, bumper to bumper, just because your service lanes are done just around that area. Also coming off of Ngong Road, we're looking good as well. Uhuru Highway, nothing to report, at least not for now. And it looks like it's winding down with traffic as the year winds down. Jogo Road heading out towards Landis and then onto Haile Selassie right around the Kamkunji roundabout is probably the most traffic we'll see at this hour. So we're probably going to get a late start to any kind of bumper-to-bumper action that we'll see later. And we can try to keep things moving by you telling us what's going on where you are. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So let me tell you something.
Tell us.
Unemployment is pushing Kenyans to serious crime, not just any chicken stealing crime. Serious crime.
Okay.
The number of Kenyans and police officers, it's like police officers are not Kenyans, but okay. Committing crimes has risen significantly with theft, robbery and drug-related offences, burglary and economic crimes being the most prevalent in the country. A report released by the National Council of Administrative Justice paints a grim picture of crime thriving within law enforcement agencies, with police officers leading in committing crimes. The irony is not lost on me. According to the report, crime surged in the 2023-2024 financial year, with the police processing at least 104,769 serious crimes worldwide, up from 97,301 in the previous financial year. Serious criminal activities declined between 2019 and 2020 and 2020-2021 fiscal years, but subsequently increased the next year. NCAJ suggests that the surge in crime could be linked to high levels of unemployment in the country, indicating that harsh economic conditions and the pressure to feed families are driving Kenyans to commit these serious crimes. On the other hand, NCAJ flagged crimes involving police officers, which have risen gradually over the past 3 years, also doubling this year compared to the previous year. In the year under review, crimes committed against other persons were the most prevalent, accounting for 24% of the reported. Theft came second as 17.5. So when you say crimes committed against another person, you're dealing with things like assault and murder and things like that, right?
Yes.
Now, false imprisonment offences committed against other persons include domestic violence, manslaughter, stalking, false imprisonment and torture. According to the report, if a Kenyan is not committing a crime against another person or engaging in theft, they're often involved in drug-related offences, prostitution, rape, defilement, bestiality, bigamy, pornography, or other moral offences. Offences relating to dangerous drugs accounted for 8.9% of the total reported crimes, while 7.4% were offences against morality. Now, the data indicates that offences against morality have started to surge despite a decline in the past 3 years, but we're also looking at a serious mental health issue in the country. The number of cases stood at 8,076 in 2019-2020 and have risen significantly in the subsequent years. Now we're looking at an increment: robbery incidents, theft incidents. 100 more cases of dangerous drug offences were reported this year than in the last year. Economic crimes increased. Offences, including police officers, increased from 131 to 203. However, the IPOA, which is the Independent Police Oversight Authority, indicated that fewer police officers were monitored this year than last year. So the eye of responsibility, essentially what they're saying, has been taken off. They were not monitored, so maybe that's why they were doing whatever they wanted to do. So what are we looking at here? Essentially, if you look at the whole roundabout this story, is that unemployment, according to this report, is pushing Kenyans into crime. And we see that most of these are theft because people are looking for a little bit extra for their pockets and to be able to feed their families.
And this is a government report?
Yes. It is the government who is saying that because we have not done 1, 2, 3, look at what is happening. It's an interesting indictment, is it not?
Yeah. Well, it's a Commission on Administrative Justice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ruto has some punitive taxes that have created two sets of Kenyans. Left side Kenyan, right side Kenyan. When the October pay hit bank and mobile accounts of salaried Kenyans, many would already have been expecting to see 2.75% chalked off for the new controversial medical cover scheme. But this, the third invasion of the pay slip by the government since Ruto took office 26 months ago, and the fourth for those with a monthly pay of over 500,000 shillings, did not make the deductions any more palatable. 2.75% was slashed for the first time to go towards SHIF medical cover being implemented by SHA. President Ruto first raided salaries of workers in February 2023 when the Court of Appeal upheld the National Social Security Fund Act of 2013, raising pension contributions from 200 bob to 1.2%, half of which is paid by the worker, the other half paid by the employer. NSSF contributions were, however, capped at a maximum of 2,160 for anyone earning above 18,000 bob. Even before the ink could dry, President Ruto hit them with a 1.5% housing levy through the Finance Act. Employees were relieved when courts delayed its implementation. However, that was just because it came back as law. Okay? Higher. Let's not forget the agony of high-income earners who were also slapped with a higher pay-as-you-earn tax in July last year through the Act. The pay for those who earn more than 500,000 shillings a month is 32.5%, which was up from 30% Those with more than 800,000 are paying 35% of their income to pay. And they're still doing 2.75% SHA, to the 2.4%, 1.2% NSSF.
What's the housing percentage again?
Yeah, housing. Hey. Housing equal 1.5%. Panacheza. While these deductions have been affected on the pay of private and public workers, here is where the story comes in. The latter, that is public workers, have a soft landing given that their fat allowances and pay increments privileges which help cushion them from the full impact of the reductions. This is where Kenyan B comes in. Civil servants also enjoy security of tenure, and coupled with the pay perks, they have made government jobs highly sought after by thousands of unemployed people amid the joblessness scourge which continues to grow. So this is it. So everybody is subjected to this, but there are those who then get some relief because of allowance here, allowance there, allowance this, allowance that. Yeah. Which helps now in everything that's going on. No. That is the issue. That is the issue. Are we together? Yeah. Are we together? Now, I wanted to tell you a story of, you've seen over the weekend, people have come out to talk about what they're going through at JKIA, especially upon arrival. Okay? Now, it's not just upon arrival, even at departure. So let's start with departure. You're going to, say you're flying out, and you're going via Kenya Airways, so you're going to Paris, to wherever. You're going Terminal 1A. See, that's KQ.
Yes.
Any other airline, Terminal 1B, 1C, right? You're flying out. You get there. Q, imetoka hapa, imeenda round namna hii paka, okay?
Paka the desk.
Yeah. You're there 2 hours ahead of time. Right? But then you're looking at this queue and you're seeing how slowly it's moving. You are likely to actually get late in your check-in.
Yes.
Right?
And they're going to close the desk at some time. Yeah.
Now, there's some young men and women who wear green. They're NYS people. They have been deployed to the airport. Now, the allegation here by many people who are posting this on social media is that these guys will come and approach you and tell you, hey, unaenda wapi?
Dubai.
Si ulete 500 nikurudishe hii line.
Wapi?
Uruke line.
Nifike mbele.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So people who actually pay end up being removed from this economy, long-winded economy class queue to the business queue, which is shorter. So you're taken there, unahudumiwa haraka haraka, you check in. If you pay. Now, depending on how much you pay, if you pay 1,000, this guy has paid 500. Unaenda nyuma ya wilo 1,000.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
That's how the law of the jungle works, my friend.
Yeah. So this is on departure.
Yeah.
Arrival. Oh, la. Umetoka Nigeria, umekuja, umebeba egusi, umebeba nini, soup, umebeba Ankara, passport control. You pass. Customs.
Hello, madam. Where are you coming from? Excuse me.
Yeah. So there are two things. One, there's a guy who or a lady who will be waiting as you are collecting your baggage. They're there. Nikusaidia. Lete. You chomoa something. You pass customs. No one asks you. Okay? The other option is, no, I don't need that kind of that. Like, excuse me, madam. Put your hand luggage there. These are the big, open. Let's see. What are you carrying? Aha. At 5 Ankara, this is business. You're coming to do business in Kenya.
These are not gifts?
Yeah. Let's do the calculation. Tax for this one, $25. What else are you carrying? This phone. Did you live with it? Yes. Did you declare when you're living? No. So you've brought it in. Tax. It's new. You're importing of your phone.
To sell.
Tax. How will you be paying? Business guy or card?
Card.
Okay, now card. Okay, just sit here. Let's go and look for the machine. You wait there for 30 minutes. That's when they'll come and sort you out. Okay? Those are the complaints. Now, because of such complaints, The chairman of KRA went to the airport yesterday, and the Kenya Revenue Authority has responded to allegations of harassment and extortion by customs officials at JKIA, with Chairman Anthony Mwaura acknowledging complaints from both Kenyans and visitors, but describing the incidents as isolated. Come on, they're just isolated cases. Although I don't want to be defensive, we need to do a little bit better. We need to handle our people better. Speaking on Sunday at JKIA, he stressed the need for improved customer service by KRA officials at the airport. Mwaura's visit follows a recent incident in which a visitor voiced her frustration on social media, alleging mistreatment by customs officers. The latest controversy erupted after Egyptian national Ednah Sheriff posted on social media about her experience upon arriving in Nairobi. She claimed she was harassed by KRA officers who demanded exorbitant fees for her personal belongings. She had 15 books, 20 t-shirts and some MIT caps. Initially, she was asked to pay $1,200, which was then reduced to $950 and finally to $800.
Sorry, I have to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Anthony Mwaura inform people that he was going to JKIA yesterday?
It was an impromptu.
It was impromptu. Okay. And it is after this impromptu visit that he now declared that these cases are isolated.
He said these are isolated cases, but we must do better.
Are we to believe that
we must do better?
That's Kenya Revenue Authority.
Yes.
Yeah. Because essentially it's the fellows
Customs.
who, when you're coming in.
Oh, I understand that very well.
So are we to believe that Anthony Mwaura had not heard about this before? That he just maybe heard on Saturday
but
or
if he hadn't heard, why was he going to the airport?
Maybe he just heard on Friday and said, hey, guys, this has been going on for the last 1 month.
The chairman of KRA was last year also at the airport.
Over the same
alongside Kithure Kindiki about immigration. Kithure was about passport control because there was issues about passport control. And KRA was about the same customs. When they were stopping people who were coming in and everybody, you umebeba kikombe kikombe 5,000 like that. KRA again went to the airport and said,
no biggie.
So one visit is adequate.
Yes.
For you to determine what is actually going on at the airport.
And that there are isolated issues. It's one or two.
No, that's what you have actually come out with a statement. If we believe that this is actually a statement from him, that one visit is what has led him to this conclusion.
That's why I was
one visit.
That's why I was asking whether it was planned or impromptu.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just City tell us a story.
All right. Let me look at the Star. Politics of blackmail behind us, says Ruto after Rigathi removal.
Politics of blackmail is behind them.
Yes.
Behind them, is what support propping them, or
that is the story I'm about to tell you.
Or it's in the back.
That's the story I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
President says he's focused on developing the country. Let me just read it so that it isn't me analyzing it, but simply reading. President William Ruto has said the country has moved on from old and backward politics of blackmail and division and rallied leaders to unite for the country's development. In an apparent reference to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached for propagating ethnic politics, the president said he is keen to unite Kenyans. The politics of blackmail have ended. Now we are all united as Kenyans across the country. We are focused on development. God. Last month, Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate impeached Gachagua for, among other things, advancing shareholding politics that appeared to alienate sections of the country. The former DP was also accused of insubordination.
So this now because he's out, this is what has been, ailing this government for the last 2 years.
It's Rigathi who has
We have sorted it out.
Now we've cured.
Now we shall focus on delivery.
We have cured the country.
We shall focus on delivery.
In fact,
hallelujah.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Yes. Let me just read that you understand. The politics of blackmail have ended. Now we are all united. Because it has ended, we are all united as Kenyans from across the country. We are focused on delivering development.
Thank you.
Have you understood?
Yes.
What have you understood?
That now we shall move. Now it's takeoff time.
Yes, and Mudavadi praised Ruto.
Excess baggage.
Gone. And Mudavadi praised Ruto for getting rid of wayward leaders.
Very good. You are mtu alikuwa mwasumbua,
You know something?
You know, it's like those ones where you are coming from a bad relationship and you just feel an entire weight off your shoulders.
Completely.
You feel now you're a better person.
This bad relationship, what comprises a bad relationship?
Toxicity.
Yeah.
Someone is toxic.
And what brings about these things?
Toxic. If an individual is toxic.
Toxic.
When you got to that relationship, what did you think you were getting into?
The toxicity levels had not reached uncomfortability.
You thought you were dealing with a good person.
You thought?
Yeah, you could manage.
Yeah, but, that's the best you can do.
My friend.
Oh, you thought that as you went along that they would get better.
The signs are always there, just so that you understand. Okay?
No,
if you choose to ignore the signs, that's a completely...
Some flags are pink.
Yeah, some flags are not at it. Not all red flags are red.
Really red.
We are supposed to go along with... There's a political tiff which ends up in an impeachment, and suddenly all is well in the country. Really?
No, all is well.
Did you not hear what the president said?
I actually read it.
It's deceit.
He said that.
That politics of negativity. It's behind us.
With the new deputy president.
Is it behind us, or have we just begun something new? Because if I look at the headline of the Star, Riggy G, Kalonzo plot, Ruto political revenge.
They can go now. Listen. My ex can go now and start cavorting with whoever. As long as hayuko hapa kwangu.
Not in my house.
I am safe. I am happy.
You want to do outside
I can sleep easy. Now, if the other guy goes and picks her up, and he does, and
problems.
You've exported your problem.
Tumewachana.
So ashike hiyo shida na endelea na hiyo shida.
Na sababu wewe umeenda, me now I can move on.
Maybe their union will not be as toxic as ours.
Perhaps they found their
Maybe they're just soulmates. Maybe those are soulmates. Maybe we were not. Let's go to the news. It's 7 a.m. Don't be toxic.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The second round of the 5-day polio vaccination campaign that kicked off on Saturday will end on Wednesday this week. The Ministry of Health has moved to dispel fears the death of 2 minors and adverse reactions of 23 children during the polio vaccination drive last month was as a result of the vaccine. Director General of Health Dr. Patrick Amoth has assured the public of the safety of the polio vaccine, saying the deaths of the minors and reactions to some of the minors were found to be coincidental. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has warned corrupt government officials, saying the law will catch up with them. Speaking at a Sunday service in Taita Taveta County, Kindiki said this is because the government had a duty to protect public property.
Hii serikali lazima tuhakikishe kwamba tumetumia njia zote kulinda rasilimali ya watu wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo wale watu ambao wamezoea kuiba mali ya umma, watu wamezoea kuchukua mali ya umma, siku zenu zimehesabiwa, na nimeambiwa niwaambie hivyo na bosi wangu. Na mimi kama mtu yake ya mkono, principal assistant, nimejipanga hapo nyuma kuhakikisha kwamba tumelinda rasilimali ya watu ya Kenya. Sijui kama wananchi tunakubaliana. Mungetaka mali yenu itumiwe vibaya? Tungetaka mali ya watu ya Kenya itumiwe kujenga mahospitali, kujenga shule zetu, kusaidia kujenga barabara.
Kindiki further asked leaders to keep off divisive politics.
We will not realize our national goals, aspirations, dreams unless we remain united. We are one nation, we are one people. We are brothers and sisters. The languages that we speak, the different languages that we speak are supposed to help us respect our diversity and not to bring hatred and division in our midst. Na mwenye anatafuta ni nini inatuunganisha tukue wa Kenya, ajue tuko na katiba moja ambaye inalinda kila Mkenya. Kweli si kweli?
And opposition leaders led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka have continued blaming President William Ruto for the economic sufferings Kenyans are going through. Kalonzo, however, insisted that the opposition will continue to fight for the rights of the people.
Sijui, again, my friend Oparanya, and I hate to talk about a friend, because it's actually a friend. Mwita Omwami. Anasema, hii ni njaa inawasumbua. Ni kelele. Tumefikia kiwango ambacho we can look at the history of this country and tell you we know where problems are. Sio watu ambao wanapiga kelele kiovyo. We are true leaders and true loyal opposition in our country, and we know that God is with us. Mahali wananchi wanasikia wanaumwa, tuko pamoja nao. Wao waendelee tu kuvinyilia watu na kukula peremende na kuenjoy. But we will stand with the people.
The APK's leader Eugene Wamalwa has also accused their colleagues from the ODM party for supporting the government's plan to return to Parliament some elements of the Finance Bill 2024 which were deleted following protests.
Aliona tumeleta pressure kama upinzani, akakuja akaanza kuita wenzetu waliokuwa upinzani. Majenzi walileta pressure, alikuwa anashukisha Zakayo, walikuwa karibu kufika chini, lakini wenzetu wakaitwa moja kwa moja, wakapewa peremende, wakapanda juu ya muti. Sasa wanameza peremende polepole na nani? Na Zakayo. Wamesahau wananchi wanaumia hapa chini. Mnapotuona hapa sisi tumeamua liwe liwalo, hatutawacha wa Kenya, hatutawacha kupigania wa Kenya. Na pia tunauliza vijana wetu wa Gen Z, musilale, bado mapambano. Hiyo Finance Bill 2024 ikirudishwa, it will be a great betrayal to the young people of Kenya, the 60 who died. Ndio hii Finance Bill ikaangushwa. Kuirudisha, watakuwa wanasema our young people died for nothing. They died in vain.
That's the Newswire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, as we're coming into traffic hour, a note not too far from now, let's take a look and see how this has changed on the streets. Jogoo Road, a little bit of traffic as you're heading out towards Landis. Landis is packed, getting towards Camp Kunji at the roundabout. The Thika Super Highway is thick with traffic this morning, and it's coming in heavy all the way from beyond Githurai and then through towards Kasarani, out towards Garden City. Very heavy as you get towards Survey. That's going to be there for some time. Kiambu Road also busy. Let's look at the cross between Kiambu Road and the Northern Bypass, where some traffic is filtering in here and there. Nothing too sticky at the moment, but we're going to keep an eye on it. Gong Road, as you're going towards the city, also not a problem here. Langata Road also looks good. A bit of traffic seeping off of Magadi Road towards Langata Road, but I think we'll be fine there. The Eastern Bypass now is when it's starting to pack a pretty punch all the way through towards North Airport Road. Outer Ring has some outbound traffic, so we're going to watch out for that. Kangunda Road, as usual, very busy in both directions. Coming all the way in from Jiru today, moving along really slowly. It'll take you through past Mama Lucy Hospital at some point. Let's see what happens as we get into traffic hour, and we'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 after 7 on this 11th day of November. It's 11/11/2024. Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is The Situation Room. Asante sana for joining us. For the next 1 hour, we're going to be talking about wealth planning, legacy planning, wealth transfer, We're going to talk about, getting the best personal banking services anywhere in East and Central Africa, south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo. And we're joined by Abraham Ongenge. Abraham is you don't know anyone called Abraham, but in this country you stand up. Kokocheo.
Is it now we are standing?
Yeah. We stood.
Oh yeah, we did. It's true. It's true.
That's why we stood.
That's why we stood up.
We've got Abra K. Now we've got Abra who?
Abra O.
Abraham Ongenge is the head of personal and private banking at Stanbic Bank, Kenya. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, Your Excellency. This is the hot seat of the Situation Room.
I have ambitions to become an excellency at some point. But
Yes. This is the platform that launches you. Karibu sana. You'll tell us what's the difference between personal and private banking.
Okay.
You'll tell us. Yeah? And that will be the first question. But no, that will be the second question. The first question will be, what's your interpretation of this proverb? So listen to the proverb.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman has been going to where and where? South of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo.
Yes.
Last week we were in the DRC.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where we were.
Describe the region where we are this week.
This country has very many neighbors. It has a neighbor that has the longest coastline on the continent. It has a neighbor whose name begins with an E. It has a neighbor whose name begins with an S. He has another neighbor whose name begins with a U, another one begins with a T. And then, just to give you a hint, there's a water body on its eastern coast. Which country is this?
Two neighbors whose name begins with S.
Yes.
I think that's 254. That must be Kenya.
Can only be.
It can only be.
That's very good. This gentleman did not waste time in his geography classes. Somebody could have taken us to Egypt. Then would have been wondering how Egypt got into East Africa.
In their mind, anything is possible.
Chui hakumbatiwi.
First of all, what's your translation of that to English?
Okay, so first of all, chui is a leopard. So I think it probably says a leopard cannot be embraced. That's my interpretation, direct interpretation into English.
Okay, what do you think that means?
So if I kind of think about the whole chronology, Chui is from the cat family.
Yes.
And it's probably a dangerous cat. So effectively to me it says, don't take yourself to the cleaners. You'll be eaten alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't go around looking for
trouble.
That animal has a bad temper.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how as a human being, that's how I interpret it. Maybe the leopard looks at human beings and says, these guys are such busybodies.
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Why can't you just leave you alone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
I'm just wondering about my business. Why must you come near me?
I just want to hang out in a tree, eat an antelope here and there.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
Oh, come grab your
goats
dog.
and sheep and dogs. But that is when you've encroached my territory.
Exactly.
You've cut my trees.
If I was in the neighborhood
That would be different.
and your dog starts barking at me,
I was merely passing by.
Yeah. And if I eat that dog, what's the problem? I'm just getting rid of my problems.
It announces
It's
its
your
presence.
Hey. Okay, that's a good interpretation. So, personal and private banking.
Yeah.
What's personal, what's private? And which part of private is personal?
All right. So there's part of private that's personal, but it also kind of starts to answer two questions. Underlying those two questions is ambition. So personal understands that you are ambitious, but you are a beginner. So when you are ambitious, but you are a beginner, come, let's deal with you.
personally.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Okay.
And let's start harnessing your ambitions.
Okay.
Now, private is that you're moving more to kind of meet your life desires. But you still want to be valued. And therefore, we then tell you, let's deal with you privately. Your needs might be a bit unique. So let's deal with you a little bit privately. So personal, let's help you with their ambitions. Private is that you know what you want. Let's deal with you privately because your needs are unique.
How do I qualify as private? Is it the amount of money that I have with me? Is it the watch I'm wearing? Is it the level of my ambition? What is it?
So underlying private is really ambition to do what I would say 4 things. One is that you don't want a bank, but you want banking. So we then say to you, how do we help you bank easily? Second is that you want to plan. So you've created some wealth. You want to plan about that wealth in case you have any uncertainties. So let's actually help you plan wisely. Then we also think that you want to make more. So you want to invest. So we bring in the skill of how you invest skillfully. Then lastly, but not necessarily the least, is that you also want to live. And we then tell you, let's help you live joyfully. So that's really the person we are inviting into private banking. So if you have any of those, if those kind of talk to you, then you qualify to private banking.
I see. So private is more personal than personal.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Private has a personal element to it.
It's more personal.
You know, everything you say points to my having resources, and not just meager resources, an abundance of resources. What if my resources are not abundant?
Yeah, it leads you to a space where you say growth is important, because everyone would want some extension of your resources. I don't want to call them meager, because every one of us has worked for the resources they have. So we also think about empowerment, and we bring empowerment into the lives of our clients. Now, if you say I have meager resources, so not where I want to be, then we then tell you, how do we partner with you to grow your wealth? How do we ensure that those resources, the 1,000, the 2,000, becomes the 10,000, then the 100,000, then a million? And what that means is that we build it both on education. We build on your firsts, so your first home, your first car, your first piece of property. We then assist you to start building that wealth, so that down the road, it's no longer meager. It's something substantial.
I mean, so even if as we get into some of these things, it's just occurred to me that in order to establish where an individual is by the time they're coming to you, that means that you're going to have some conversations in terms of where they are. So it's got to be that personal touch. So is that what we're saying, that you really are starting the journey where you're having a one-on-one with individuals? I mean, 20 years ago, that never happened with your bank.
Yeah.
You put money in the bank, you do the thing, you get out. Nobody's having a conversation about anything.
Yeah. And banking has actually evolved. And underlying the whole business of banking, if you think about it, is that when you put money into a bank, the simple message you're making is that I trust that institution. So the whole business of banking is actually a business of trust. And what that means is that the person seated on the other side has to be a world-class trusted advisor. And that's why, to help you properly fit into the quadrants of where your journey is at, we've kind of created world-class trusted advisors who then partner with you with your financial journey. Different people are in different phases.
Yeah.
And we have to fit specifically into what is relevant for your own ambitions, but also for the level of resources you have. Yeah.
I guess you have different products for personal banking, for private banking. Maybe you can use that to show us the difference. At what point, when someone comes for personal banking, what kind of accounts do they open? What kind of relationships do they get? When someone comes for private banking, what kind of accounts do they open? What kind of relationships do they get?
Okay. So if I speak about personal banking, you are on the go.
Yeah.
You need value for money. For whatever you earn, you need value for money. So for personal banking, first we have to make sure that you are actually banking easiest. So we kind of create digital capabilities for you to be able to transact as quickly as possible, but we reduce the cost to serve. So you don't have to pay that Uber, pay that taxi to get into a branch to be served. You can actually serve on the go. But we also understand you have lending needs, and in some instances, you probably will be in between your revenue streams.
Yeah.
So we offer you short tenor type advances to say, let me bridge you to your next income. We also understand you want to start with your firsts. So you want to own your first home. So what we do is that we then partner with teams that have been able to reduce the cost of home ownership, such as KMRC, to provide affordable housing. Interestingly speaking, that product provides housing at rates as low as single digit for people who want home of firsts.
How much is Stanbic offering for the KMRC loans?
9.5% for 25 years, fixed. So regardless of what those rates are going to be at next year, the other year, for 25 years.
Fixed at 9.5.
Fixed at 9.5%. Now, you then move and you say you've been ambitious, you have become successful, you are now moving more into the space where you have created some wealth. You probably have owned your first home, you've owned your first car, but now you're thinking, where would my children get their school fees? How do I plan for my next education? How do I plan for maybe the things I want to pass on to my children going forward? We introduce you to private banking.
Okay.
So we tell you, look, you do need to partner with someone. So personal banking, you'll see yourself doing a lot of those things. So private banking, we say, you can still do the things you are doing while you are in personal banking. But we now attach with you a trusted world-class private banker. And when I talk about this world-class private banker, a lot of investment around their skill. So certified in investments, certified in insurance, certified in retail banking, so that they bring the holistic piece around how do I match your ambitions, your personal values to the financial journey that you have. So in private banking, we introduce you more to a much more connected thinking around your financial journey, and grow you consistently in a manner that's always safe.
Do I have to be a long-term banker with Stanbic to get into private banking?
No.
Can I open a private banking account today? What do you call the account?
It's called a private banking account.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can I open one like just today? I'm listening to this and I'm like, all right, that sounds like something I could do.
Yes, because we also realize that people are in different journeys, and you probably had taken a journey with a certain financial institution somewhere else. You think, yes, I think I like this. Get onto our website, put in your request, and we get back to you with a world-class private banker coming to you and telling you, how do I take you forward from a journey?
Abraham, I think we're living in very interesting times economically, whether we're looking at whether the nation is on a downward spiral or trying to pick up economically. I think it's very interesting that we're having this conversation today because the headline on one of the papers today talks about broke Kenyans are being forced to steal because they don't have. And I'm linking that with some of the things that you're speaking about today. And some of the things that we've been speaking about the last couple of days. We were talking about banking easily, living joyfully, investing skillfully and planning wisely. And if we make a link between a lot of times when we think about saving and investment, the assumption is that I need to have 10 million shillings or that I need to have 5 million or whatever. But the majority of the folks for whom we would say we're going to put something aside, 500 shillings is an uphill task. So how can we do these things from a private banking point of view with very little in terms of resources?
And certainly we run different cycles in economies. This particular one kind of seeming tough in the season where we are in, and that's why our pillar kind of combines these four to say that let's not give up living joyfully, let's not give up banking easily, let's not give up investing skillfully and planning wisely in the whole context. There's a piece around how we think about private banking that enables us to combine this. So you've talked about this private banking account. We realize when someone gets into private banking is that you have some income stream, but how do we protect that amount that you have put right from the time go? So the private banking account has an income protect insurance. So what we are saying is that we know right now you have some resources, but how do we put in an income protect? Whether it's a retrenchment cover for those who are salaried or an income protect insurance for those who have income from businesses. Now, that might sound a small amount to it that you are kind of putting in. But think about this season where incomes are not as certain. The income protect insurance comes to you and says, look, we will pay you some certain amount for a certain period of time until you get yourself back up. Now, there's also the piece of the resources are small. So there's a person with the 10 million shillings, there's a person with 1,000 shillings. How do we think about the person with 1,000 shillings and provide a decent return for that amount? So we then introduce investment solutions such as a money market fund that guarantees you, that provides you a return that's almost double digit, very different from what you would get if you had put 1,000 shillings in a savings account. So we kind of give you an alternative to say you have a smaller amount, but how can we enhance your yield depending on where interest rates.
So there is space for somebody who has what we would say is small, but it's huge for others. So
it's huge.
Space.
It's huge, and we appreciate the ambitions of our customers to say, even for that small, let that money work for you.
Abraham, talk a little bit more about the income protect.
Okay.
All right. So introduce it like, you're talking to somebody who's never heard about it. What is it?
All right. So if you open a transacting account, one of the things that institutions will tell you is that there is a service fee.
Yes.
Sometimes our customers would choose to say, we don't want an account that has a service fee. We just want an account that I pay when I use.
Paper use.
Yeah, paper use. There are some who would say, I would want to take a bundled account that has only one fee, then everything else is included in that fee. So for the account that has a bundled fee, we introduce in that bundle fee, so that part of the amount you pay in that bundle fee, we pay an insurance premium for you. Okay. That insurance premium protects your level of income for a certain period of time. So what happens is that if you receive a consistent income of 100 or 200,000, we guarantee that should that income be lost, so either your business is closed or you are unemployed, that we will continue to pay that amount for a certain period of time, mostly between 6 to 9 months, while you are trying to get yourself up. So that is income protect.
So that amount, if we've determined that my income is 100,000 shillings a month, should I lose that income for the next 6 to 9 months, I will get 100,000 shillings every month. Because of this. So it will be deposited into my account.
It will be deposited into your account.
Right.
But what did you pay to get there?
You paid from a bundled point of view 2,000 shillings. In that 2,000 shillings, there's a component that's the insurance. That 2,000 shillings also serves other things. It allows
So 2,000 is like the monthly.
This is the monthly
bundled charge.
But in that charge, we've actually taken some piece and insured your income.
How long have you got to pay this in order for you to then have access to?
So for as long as you have the account, you continue to pay that 2,000 shillings on a monthly basis.
Start this month, lose the job next month, you're sorted?
You're sorted.
Okay.
And you have to have an account. Okay, let me. What sort of account do you need to have in order to enjoy this protection?
So we provide we provide different solutions for our customers. This particular one would require a private banking bundled account. Okay, so that bundled account you need to pay a certain amount that gives you some transactions for free. So ATM transactions, some particular transactions for free, withdrawals, you do some for free. There are some of our customers who would then say, no, we want to pay every time I withdraw an amount, I need to pay. So that's also an option. For this particular one, you have to pay a bundled account. The charge for that account is 2,000 shillings.
Now, bundle account, let me understand. Bundle account means I'll be in private banking.
Yes.
Okay. I want us to talk amounts. What is the minimum amount that I need to have in order to be in private banking, to have a personal, what was it?
A world-class trusted advisor.
Okay. How much money do I need to have to open the account, and do I constantly need to replenish that account with for me to have such an account?
Okay. So for the clients who are within the stream for private banking, we start with clients who have incomes of about 150,000 per month, going up. We then graduate them into incomes of 450,000 a month, going up. If you have more than that, we introduce you to wealth. So if you do have investable assets of $1 million and above.
$1 million what?
$1 million and above. We do have specific solutions for you to assist you manage your wealth. But if you have incomes of 150,000 and above, welcome to private banking.
So what's the difference between the 150K and the 450K?
So the 150, if you look at the nature of a client of 150, you're probably in your firsts. You're probably starting your first. My first home, my first car, my first piece of land. If you are at 450, you're probably doing your second, third. So quite some different need. And actually, if you are in your 450, you're also doing a little bit of travel. So we also want to say, how do we make your experiences the memorable experiences you need to have?
Okay, sounds good. Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning is Abraham Ongenge. He's the head of personal and private banking at Standard Bank Kenya. We are talking about legacy planning, wealth transfer, and exclusive banking solutions. We've just been getting to understand about the private banking account that Standard Bank offers. Very, very good deals that here you get, and very good solutions and very good attention that you get from world-class
Trusted
advisors. World class because they're certified, because they actually can show you, I went and trained on these matters. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we come back after this break. And as we go into the break as well, remember the thing that we talk about. Stanbic is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. Let's talk about insurance that's regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority. And this is Taifa Pension Fund.
Well done.
Just go to their website and find out a little bit more. taifapensionfund.com.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, quite a bit of rain actually. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 15, and likely to see a full rainy Monday. Highs of 24 and lows of 14 in a cloudy Nakuru, and at 15 it's raining as well in Nyeri with highs of 21. Sunny conditions for now in Eldoret, highs of 23 and lows of 14, and it's a sunny day in Mombasa at 27, going to highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in a partly sunny Malindi at 28. Kisumu is cloudy at 20, highs of 29, and at 18 it's partly sunny in Kakamega with highs of 28 and lows of 17. Kampala is partly sunny at 20, highs of 27, and it's sunny as well in Dar es Salaam, going to highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's a cloudy morning in Johannesburg at 14, highs of 20. And we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 25 in a mostly sunny Mogadishu at 28. It's 12 degrees and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 22. Clear at 24 in Lagos with highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 29 in a partly sunny Kinshasa at 23.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
All right, with the rains coming down, it means things have slowed down considerably. There's traffic on the Eastern Bypass. It's coming in all the way from that Ruai Junction as you cross over from Kangunda Road. So folks who've decided to come this way will be stuck on the Eastern Bypass for some time. If you go the other way, you're also stuck on Kangunda Road. So, choose your poison. Pick your poison, rather. It's slowed down also as you get towards North Airport Road. Now is when we see some traffic starting to build outbound on Outer Ring. But nothing too painful for now. Mombasa Road is flowing smoothly, as is the Southern Bypass. So there's an option for you to get into the city much quicker this morning. Landis Road is packed going towards Kamkunji, so that slows down a bit. Thika Superhighway still heavy with traffic coming in all the way from beyond Githurai out towards Clay City, Kasarani, the Mwiki area. All of this through towards Garden City, out into the city this morning. Wangari Maathai Way, as well as then going towards the roundabout just past Moranga Road. That's very busy as well. Kiambu Road, some traffic in and outbound, but it's all inbound because, people are so well-mannered that we cause 5 lanes where there should be 2. Keeping an eye on things this morning, let's see what happens. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
8, our conversation with Abraham Ongenge continues, head of personal and private banking at Standard Bank Kenya, talking about legacy planning, wealth transfer, and exclusive banking solutions. So we're hearing about the private banking and why you come in and you get all these extras, and also the personal banking where you say, come, we shall help you graduate as you move. There's something that people don't really talk about, and this is about their succession and passing on wealth from you to your dependents, right? And you're big on that as well.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and we've kind of thought about this, and sometimes it's a conversation that is an exclusive for the old age, and I'm not directing it to someone in this room.
Someone in this room has heard you.
we actually think that wealth and wealth transfer is a conversation that starts right from the Gen Zs to the baby boomers and so on and so on and so forth. And it is the one thing that can help our society grow as an economy. And we've thought about this in two ways. One, we are good at creating it. Second, that we need to protect it. And then third, we need to transfer it, to kind of transfer it into generations to generations. And in making that connection, we then combine financial solutions that cut across that piece. So let's plan to grow your wealth to a space where it's enough to pay school fees for your children. It's enough to ensure that from a medical point of view you are covered in your old age. Let's protect it to say that in these seasons you would have uncertainties. So let's think about what happens if a breadwinner in your family is no longer able to continue to provide for the family. Let's think about how we then boost the family to continue going forward. And then lastly, let's actually think about how that transfer looks like, but by ensuring that there is an orderly thought process in how that transfer is done. And the orderly thought process would also include education for the people who are receiving, because a lot of generations find it difficult when you want to transfer, but the person you're transferring to is not ready to receive. So let's put in some financial literacy right from the child to a senior person to ensure that that transfer is happening orderly. And we do partner with several of our areas of expertise around how do you think about your will? How do you optimize tax for the wealth that you that you have? How would we deal the complexities around making your wealth earn more? And what is the right mix depending on where you are in your season between being asset rich and being liquidity rich?
Is it ever too late to begin to put away the 1,000 shillings or the 5,000 shillings or the 10,000 shillings upon the realization that actually, oh, you know what, I can do something? Somebody comes to you and says, look, Abraham, I have nothing. And you know that there's some resources, but they say, okay, look, maybe it's too late in the game. What do you advise?
Yeah. I think the Japanese always said the best time to plant a tree is now if you missed yesterday. So it's never too late. It's never too late to start. But it's always important that you think about how do you obtain advice and help? Who's that trusted advisor? Because in different seasons, given different seasons, you probably want to have the trusted advisor to help you understand what's the right way to approach this. Normally, you've seen spaces where when people become asset rich, so we have a lot of land, you have a lot of property, but when you are sick, you are asking for help because you don't have liquidity to deal with that situation. How do we ensure that we balance that mix for you? And that's where our trusted advisors come in, to ensure that we actually protect the fact that in different seasons you are able to manage your circumstances of life, but also your values. Some of these things is to protect the dignity of your values as a person, to say, I don't want to be dependent to my children when I'm aged. You're protecting your value there, and how do we help you protect that value?
Bottom line is, as a bank, you're in business, and you have a responsibility to share your shareholders that you've got to announce good results and therefore be able to announce a dividend every year So the people who are working in this institution are basically working to make sure that they give a return to their shareholder. Now, even this world-class trusted advisor has a target. And the target is to make sure that money comes in and that money is then making sense so that in the end, the bottom line works, right? So how do I trust this person when they're giving me all this information that they're not actually just telling me because they're looking at their targets and they're like, oh my goodness, I have X to meet and Eric is here. So let me see if I can actually use Eric to meet my target.
Yeah.
How do I trust this person?
It's a healthy and natural tension to have in any what I would call any society that's capitalists, and Kenya is a capitalist society. But it always rests towards how we interpret why we exist as organizations. As Stanbic, we've interpreted that our own existence as an organization is to drive Kenya's growth. And we therefore correlate our targets into that main objective of driving Kenya's growth. If you then go closer into personal and private banking, so then the target of anyone within the team of personal private banking is to grow individual growth. So we then put in our targets into probably three main pillars. One, that we will transform the experiences of our clients. What that means is that part of the targets we put is a question we ask out of the world-class trusted advisor. How did you transform the experiences of your clients? Because clients pay for value. And if we can register that value and we can show that value, then you then earn the return because you've transformed the experience of the client. The second, how do you execute excellently? And execute excellently is to mean that every time we look to optimize and to look at ways in which we can reduce our cost to serve, because it translates back to the value to our client. Then third is what you've just said. How do we also continue to deliver sustainable returns for our stakeholders? Now, when you translate targets to the team that correlates to winning for our clients, then you get a win-win approach to this.
If your client wins, then obviously the institution wins, then the shareholder gets something out of it. So you've said that this thing about legacy planning should not be an issue about planning for retirement. It's planning for tomorrow.
Yes.
Because you don't know about tomorrow, right? Tomorrow could be anything.
Yeah.
And you said it begins from, you start from the person who comes and opens an account, however young they are, that's 18 and above. You start that legacy planning conversation with them at that point.
At that point.
Okay. So let's talk to somebody who is, let's say, in their 30s now.
Okay.
Right? Whatever kind of income bracket they're in. They could be in the below 150, the 150s and above, the 450s and above, right? But maybe they have a family, young family. Maybe they don't have a family yet, but they are about to and all. So what is it that you tell them?
So the one thing about a person who's at 30s is that you are what we would call economically active. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, when you're economically active, the risk return situation is slightly different because you are able to take more risk. Okay? But also more risk means you're able to accommodate quite high returns. So for that particular type of persona, we then invite them to a position of how can you make your money work for you more? But how can we also protect the fact that this money can be lost tomorrow? So how do you, in a way, pack something out for protection, but also how do we encourage you to take more risk? So for that customer, we present to you a piece around start building your home for tomorrow. Okay, So we present to you mortgage solutions as an example. Okay, you may require to be economically active, so there are some assets which you would probably call them seen assets. So you need a car to move yourself here and there. But think about it in the form of you need it to enable you make more. So how do we make sure that we give you the appropriate source of mobility in that space?
What does that mean?
So how do we get you a vehicle and asset finance?
Okay.
To say, why don't you pay rent to get this car? Because vehicle and asset finance is really rent for some time for that car which you eventually own, and it has a residual value.
Why do you call it a sin asset?
Because at the end of the day, it's an asset that loses value. At the end of the day, it's an asset that loses value. Experience kind of says...
Are there assets that never lose value?
They are assets that they are assets that probably protect value better. Maybe not lose value, protect value better. You know the way they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The value of the asset is dependent on the demand of the person who needs it. So, for example, a house in a certain location might lose value, but in a different location it might come in at a premium. But it's still a house.
Yeah.
It's still a house. So for that...
So you offer those kind of asset financing?
Yeah.
For mobility purposes. We call
For
it
mobility purposes.
Because what you're doing is just you need to move from here to there and for that convenience. And that's why we are helping you to do that. But also telling this person, just remember, this thing is not really... So don't go for a 10 million shilling car really at this particular point if your income is at this level, because you'd use some of that money better if you invested in this other area. Okay.
Yeah.
So that advice is coming.
Yeah.
And now, how strongly do you actually put out that advice?
We put it strongly in some cases. In some cases, we are strong enough to tell our clients that the solution you're seeking for is inappropriate for how we have assessed you. So in some cases, we actually do say no to clients when clients come and say, I need this money to buy this. We kind of tell, given your income stream, given some of the risks we are seeing, we don't think that's an appropriate decision for you. We would probably serve you differently in a different way. Because that's the element where we then elevate the piece around trusted advisor. That trust means also we balance it with, we balance your ambition and moderate it with the truths, given what we've seen.
You know, before you come in, I know you have a question. One of the things that will have to happen here is that there's got to be mutual trust.
Yeah.
I have to come and open myself up to you clearly and tell you about my life. So I've got these kids, I've got these other kids who are not known, but I'll tell you about them so you can help us pay all these kind of things. And these are my dreams and ambitions. This is what I need. I have this black tax. I've got this family that I'm supporting here, and this is what I'm hoping to do. So that then with that clear picture, then you advise me appropriately. But you see, that's not something that people are willing to give willingly in terms of just telling you the clear picture. I'll come and tell you I want to buy a car or I want to buy a house. And you're like, boss, okay, this house here, why do you need to buy a house? I'll not tell you exactly why I want to buy that house. But you could just look and see there's something else. So how do you get me to open up to you so that you can then advise me better?
Okay. And I think the thing we respect as an organization is that we respect the need to ensure the highest level of confidentiality for our clients. But it's also interesting what numbers can tell you when you have a relationship with a person. There is a lot we have built within our organization around understanding how you transact and building insights as to the things, the right questions we can ask for your reflection without necessarily you having to say, okay, let me tell you a story of how this transaction comes through. We can get a view to say, we see you transacting a lot in this area, we see you traveling a lot, and we are concerned that you may not have insurance. We see you in a golf shop. Can we give you access to golf courses out of the country? We see you paying school fees, and we see it was delayed. It is something that we can help you on. So to some extent, once we also use what you do with us to make it more sensible to you, we then start creating the trust, and this is where technology then comes in.
So then I guess it's great, because it's good that question came before, because then even in the private banking, because you talked about essentially transition. So by the time you're talking about wealth growth for somebody, they're not at the place where they need to save something because they've already done that. They're not at the place where they need to be thinking about, the dailies, because they've already done that. So you're getting to a place of transition by the time you're talking about, okay, well, we can see that you have a significant, wealth package. Let's now see how we can grow that. How then do you, as the trusted world-class advisor, say, okay, CT, we can see that you've got the 127 million now. Let's talk about how you can now make more of it and how then, or do you just keep watching? Or do you see the habits? Or what do you do to say that, okay, we know that now you're at a place of transition, you can now move to the next. And it doesn't have to be at that place. How do you know that somebody has now said, okay, well, I've got their 1,000 shillings and I've saved it consistently for every month and I've grown it at, what was it, 11%, 12%? I've grown it consistently. How would you then look at this person, Ndu, and say, okay, well, all right, you're okay now. Let's move to the next.
Yeah. And it's a piece around why we then plug in relationship management, and sometimes digitization has to complement relationship management. How we plug in relationship management allows us to have consistent conversations. So the element of trusted advisor is not an element of there is a person watching a screen, just looking at what you're doing.
She took out 1,000 shillings.
Took 1,000 shillings. It's an element of, can we have coffee? Okay. How are you doing? What are you concerned? We have seen SHA coming through. How has this affected your disposable income? What do we see going forward? How do you adjust to this? And sometimes those conversations are really ideas on the table, not necessarily something you need to act on at the moment, but things that we put in place to say, this is what we are seeing, this is what typical people within your environment are making calls on. If you need help, would come back to you. So it's actually, how we do it is actually continuous conversation.
It's a lot of conversations, though. You can imagine, just to say it's 1,000 people, and I'm sure that there are many more. Are we talking about a deliberate conversation with each of these individuals at intervals that make sense? It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Quite deliberate, though. And that's where digitization comes in. Okay, digitization comes in to enable us have the right meaningful conversation with you. Let me take a simple example. It's your birthday. Okay, so the conversation of birthday may not be a conversation that would be the same for all our customers, but it can be a unique day for you, where you're saying, "Oh, it's my birthday." Your birthday is coming in the next 10 days. Then we call you and say, your birthday is coming in the next 10 days. Are you planning a travel? Can we interest you in some discounts in Dubai, where you're going for your birthday? So those conversations are curated for specific instances for you as a client.
CT's wondering why you didn't call him on his birthday and take him to Dubai.
No, my account has been dormant for God knows how long. So it's understandable. that account has to be active for all these wonderful things to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And that bit I know.
Yeah.
So there's some cards that you offer to your personal banking clients. Tell us about those cards and what benefits they come with.
Cards.
Cards. So we've partnered with MasterCard to offer 2 cards, and the reason why we thought this partnership is important is that it correlates quite well with our value proposition. Our value proposition on the space around living joyfully. And MasterCard and ourselves curated a proposition that said we require to offer our customers exceptional travel experience. We need to give them a peace of mind. Then we need to provide them with lifestyle solutions. So for the first time in East Africa, we are offering a metallic MasterCard World Elite card. Metallic.
Okay.
So, and I don't know.
Why metallic?
It has a different aura to this. And the first time I got this card.
Is that the one you're holding?
That's the card. Okay.
World Elite card. But yes,
World Elite card.
It just looks like
metal.
It just looks like I am money.
So if you've ever had these other cards and you happen to drop this card somewhere, you'll feel a different jingle. It introduces you as a person. It introduces you as a person. Now,
I'm giving you back your card.
Okay. And you
pass it along. Yeah, that's metal.
So
real metal. But it's not only a piece of metal.
It's not the material.
Yeah, it's not the material. It also introduces you to benefits that are probably unmatched. Think about launch access. It gives you a launch access +1. Many more cards do not give you launch access +1.
What on earth is launch access?
So if you are in the airport, you need to access the private lounge. Buy this card, you're able to get in there. +1.
Very good.
So City gets Eric to join. It also gives you concierge services.
Can I have something?
City ngoja siku. Wacha kuharibu story.
It gives you concierge services. In this card, you also get discounts if you want to go for education. So we have partnered with some education companies that provide university education at discounts. It gives you access to golf courses. Some of those golf courses, about 8 of them, in Kenya. So a wide range.
Beautiful card. Second card?
The second is the World card, the MasterCard World. That is not metallic. That's plastic, but will steal some very good benefits into it. Peace of mind, lifestyle experiences, but also travel.
Living joyfully.
Living joyfully.
How does one open an account with Stanbic?
So we have a digital way of opening an account. Go into any of our handles. In our website, you will have a piece there that says private banking. Start your journey today. You click on it and you introduce yourself to the world of Stanbic Bank Private.
Okay. Very well done. Agola and Collins, they say you have sold it very well.
Okay.
They appreciate it. Abraham Ongenge is the head of personal and private banking at Stanbic Bank, Kenya. It's 2 minutes after 8 news time.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah. Ubaga. Some KCSE candidates who are sitting for their exams this week will actually be doing their last paper on Friday, even as exams enter week 3. This event comes as Assistant Kuppet Treasurer Ronald Tunui has called on the Ministry of Education to consider increasing the pay of exam invigilators. Tunui says unlike other supervisors who are paid according to their job group, it doesn't apply so for teachers who invigilate the national exams.
The ones from the ministry who are overseeing these exams are paid per diem based on the circular provided by Salaries Enumeration Commission, while the teachers are given peanuts, 500, 400, which cannot even take care of their transport. So we are calling upon the Teacher Service Commission to ensure that they do a budget for this supervision of exams, so that when the teachers are going to supervise exams, they are paid per diem based on the circular of Salaries Enumeration Commission.
Tunui added that teachers invigilating the exams have over the years had to go out of their way despite being paid very little to ensure national exams run smoothly.
You cannot pay an officer 450 shillings per day and you expect them to be happy with it. We've seen some colleagues who are being posted to supervise the exam far away from their station, and they use between 1,000 per day. Who is going to pay them the extra cost?
And the number of Kenyans and police officers committing crimes has risen significantly, with theft, robbery, drug-related offences, burglary and economic crimes being the most prevalent in the country. A report released by the National Council of Administrative Justice paints a grim picture of crime thriving even within law enforcement agencies, with police officers leading in committing crimes. According to the report, crime surged in the 2023-2024 financial year, with the police processing at least 104,796 serious crimes nationwide, and up from 97,301 in the previous financial year. The government could soon lock out foreigners from accessing local tenders worth less than 1 billion shillings. Molo MP Kuria Kimani is fighting to have foreigners partnering with locals to bid for tenders reserved for Kenyan contractors. The Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill 2024 will restrict foreigners to handling capital-intensive projects such as infrastructure development. A 5 million shillings fine, 3 years jail term, or both will be issued against any Kenyan who registers a company on behalf of foreign bidders. Foreign firms often enjoy access to cheap loans and advanced technology, making them competitive. And finally, rainfall is expected in the highlands east and west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, the Rift Valley, the south and eastern lowlands and coast, as well as northeastern Kenya. Director of Meteorological Department David Gikungu says sunny intervals will however be experienced tomorrow and Wednesday morning in some regions, with showers and thunderstorms of a few places in the afternoon. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning is giving proper, and it's coming in all the way from Githurai today. Slows down as you get towards Garden City, but we're going to look at the real traffic then after the Allsops Junction, heading out towards the city, past Pangani, out towards Muranga Road, and then onto the Globe Cinema roundabout. Traffic is serious. It's also very busy on Wangari Maathai Way today, and it's going all the way through towards Chiromo, and the incoming traffic from Lower Kabete as well as Wayaki Way is going to add on to that. Limuru Road now is when the folks are up and starting to add to that traffic, but it's looking good on the Southern Bypass, your scenic route into the city. The busyness on Gong Road is starting to build up this morning, and now we're seeing Uhuru Highway building up, taking in traffic from Lusaka Road on this side and Langata on the other side, Bunyala Road on this side and Haile Selassie on the other. So traffic into the CBD is starting to build. Let's see what happens as we go through traffic hour. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is 10 minutes after 8. How are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is The Situation Room. Ndu.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Tala for a while. Mm-hmm. So Tala has been in this country for 10 years, started as Corporahisi. It's now Tala. It's branched off into other countries as well. Has lent over 500 million shillings in this republic alone. But why is Tala important? Why should someone consider Tala?
Think about it as a bridging partner. Sometimes you're going to run into a situation whereby you need a few extra shillings in your pocket, isn't it? And you're going to need the 5,000, you're going to need the 10,000 to be able to get one or three things done. So Tala steps in and says, you know what, guys? Come to us. What you need to do is download the app on the Google Play Store. You can have that done. And then when you do run into a situation where you need buy some kind of bridging fund, some bridging funds, or where you have that odd emergency, or you're going to use it as a way to carry on from one business point to the next, Tala is your option. You're able to borrow that money and you can pay before the 61 days are over, or you can, pay by the time it's 61 days at an interest rate that you obviously would be able to live by, and then continue into a relationship where the more you borrow and pay back, the more in terms of funds you can actually get. It's been a partner for folks for years, continues to be a partner. That's why it's important, because you don't have to run helter-skelter to find that funds. You can get it at Tala.
Yes. Thinking about retirement, and so the headlines today are just talking about how much money is getting out of your payslip. All places. The NSSF Act says part of your money will go to pension, and there's tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1 money will go towards NSSF, and tier 2 money can go to NSSF or could go to a private fund that you choose. The fund that you should choose, that you should tell your HR manager to choose, is a Taifa Pension Fund. It's the fastest growing pension fund in the country, administered by Kenya's largest pension fund administrator, the CPF Financial Services. Very many benefits of it. 24/7 support through the online portal. Optimum interest rates are guaranteed. Claims are settled within 14 days. 200 plus unique employers on board. 500,000 plus members across Kenya, 7,000 plus active pensioners, all of them benefiting from the Taifa Pension Fund. Go to your HR manager and tell them, have you heard of Taifa Pension Fund? They tell you, tell them, get out of here. You need to know about the Taifa Pension Fund. And then you tell them, open the website right now. Open it. Type www.taifapensionfund.com and then tell them, now read and send an email saying that you're taking us to Taifa Pension Fund by the end of day today, or we take you to court.
Yeah, but
Taifa Pension Fund is the way to go, okay? Now, we've been talking about this for a while. Once in a while, we talk about what's happening in the country and in the world, and especially in the country. The issue of child labor has been an issue that is debatable. People are like, how do you categorize this as child labor? Surely, this is my child.
Wash the dishes.
I'm training them the ways of the world. That's not labor. It's training. It's chores. How do you call chores labor? But then there are areas where it's actually considered child labor, right? And then there are areas as well where you think about and you actually don't see it, but there's trafficking that's happening in the country. And we talk about trafficking and thinking, okay, trafficking is when people are being, promised jobs abroad, and then they land there, and then they find themselves being shipped to some place where they're locked up and they're not able to. There's trafficking that's happening in country, okay? And we are joined by two people now who are going to help us with this conversation. They are from the International Labour Organization, ILO. Andrew Odete is Engagement and Partnership Building Officer at the ILO CAPSA project, while Grace Banda is the project manager for the ILO CAPSA project. Good morning, Grace. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you.
Good to have you both here.
We're happy to be here.
Very good.
I listen to you people every day, so happy to be in your room.
You're here, and you're happy. Karibu sana. Karibu sana. You're going to tell us a lot more, and this is going to be an engaging one on what is, child labor and what's trafficking, and so on and so forth. But first, you'll listen to CT's proverb. This week, CT, in which country are we? Give them a hint.
Why don't I give our guests a little hint so that they can exercise their knowledge of the lack of it thereof in geography. Okay? This country has many neighbors. One of the neighbors is Ethiopia. The other neighbor is Tanzania. There's a neighbor called Uganda, South Sudan, and the Indian Ocean. Which country is this?
Andrew?
This sounds like Kenya.
It sounds like Kenya.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, some people may confuse it like with Kenya. That has happened before.
Those people exist. And you join their ranks. Well done.
I think I also want to agree that it could be Kenya. Sounds like Kenya. Because we have...
It is Kenya.
Yes.
Let me stop yanking your chain. It is Kenya. Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week would be from the country of Kenya. We've been looking at countries south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo. And yes, the proverbs are in Kiswahili. And for those who understand Kiswahili, we'll ask you to give us an interpretation of it, first of all, in English, then the meaning as you understand it.
Okay.
Chui hakumbatiwi.
Chui hakumbatiwi.
Yes.
Andrew.
So you don't hug a leopard. That is the translation, I believe.
First of all, 9 is going to be very difficult because...
Don't worry, sister.
So you'll forgive me here because...
Even in Uganda,
yes,
they speak Swahili.
Chui, at least I know, is a leopard.
Very good, you see.
Hakumbatiwi, it is hugging. So you definitely, no one ever dares hug a leopard.
So what did you want us to excuse you from? And you understand the proverb perfectly.
Maybe because Andrew spoke earlier. I got the hint.
What's the interpretation of it, Grace?
Okay. I think you'd be looking for trouble, surely, to even think of hugging something like a leopard, leave alone anybody who is near what leopards do. I think I leave it at that.
I would agree. Yeah, I think a dangerous situation is not one you run to. It is a situation you want to avoid. In fact, if you are going to hug a leopard, probably you should have a weapon or claws that are sharper than its own. Yeah.
Okay. You're both right. Absolutely right, and you've interpreted it very well. Thank you.
Yes,
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. What's the CAPSA project by the ILO?
CAPSA is the short of a long name that stands for Strengthening of Capacities of Government to address issues of child labor, forced labor, human trafficking, which is essentially a regional project that we've been implementing in Uganda and Kenya. And this project is coming to an end. We've implemented it for the last 5 years. We also have some aspects of work that we do at the East Africa community level through the Department of Youth, Gender and Social Services. So basically it's an acronym, a short for a longer name.
Quite long.
Yes.
It starts with strengthening, and the CAPSA is C.
Yes.
That's
one. It's one of those things that we can't explain, but we know when we refer to it with our partners, they know what
they all understand.
So it's the C mainly, the capacity strengthening that stands out.
So what have you been doing throughout the life of this project? I mean, what was it all about?
Good question.
Because you're strengthening the capacities of your partners.
So we, first of all, the ILO, the International Labour Organization, is the oldest UN agency. We've celebrated more than 100 years of existence, established after the Second World War, after the Depression, to cater for labour rights. So the ILO was set up to set standards for labour. And so it's a membership, one of the only UN agencies that is a membership agency. For example, Kenya is the member of the ILO. And so the mandate to establish labour standards is actually done at all levels with countries and the ILO. So, and these are translated into what we call conventions. I'm sure you've heard about conventions. And so when we work in countries, our mandate or our role is to actually support countries to continuously remain compliant to the ILO conventions, which are translated further down to national policies and laws. And so part of what we've been doing in this project is also to identify the laws of the two countries, Uganda and Kenya, and try to ascertain where there are gaps and help the countries to fill the gaps, but also to update their laws and policies in alignment with the international labour standards. So that's one area. The other one has also been because these laws and policies are implemented by institutions that work on these issues. So strengthening the capacities of institutions to be able to enforce the laws, first and foremost, but also to implement the policies. It's one thing having a policy, it's another implementing it to benefit the children, especially our target group, but also communities to be able to understand why they shouldn't be sending their underage children to work, and the importance of education, social protection, and the services, especially for those who have been rescued from these situations of child labor, forced labor, and trafficking cases. So the service providers who provide shelter, psychosocial counseling skills, even food and clothing, because oftentimes you've seen children begging on the street. You ask yourself, who are they and why are they not in school when others are in school? So those kinds of situations is what we've been involved in, but much more than working at national level, we also go to the sub-national level. For example, we have worked in a few target counties in Kenya to work with the communities, but also the government officers that work at that level, again, to ensure that they first of all know, the existing policies, are they implementing them, where the laws need to be enforced, are they aware, the labor officers that inspect workplaces, children's officers who deal directly with children, and then civil society organizations. They are the ones that mainly provide the services to victims and survivors. Andrew could also speak about.
Andrew, so our topic for today is the sorry state of child labor and trafficking in Kenya. Let's start with the definition. So we are all on the same page. What is child labor in the context of Kenya?
Child labor means different things to different people. The global definition under the ILO is work that is harmful to children. So work that affects them morally, physically, emotionally, and takes them out of school. And also work that affects their future well-being. So you also mentioned, because it's very key to differentiate between what they call child work or sometimes light work and child labor. You mentioned that children should do some form of work at some point. Everybody should, as they learn to be upstanding citizens of the world. And as we nurture them into adults who are productive in their community. But the big question is, where do you draw the line between child labor on the one hand and child work or light work on the other hand? And to determine whether something amounts to child labor, one then needs to consider a number of dynamics. How old is the child that's being deployed to undertake this work? If you give a 14-year-old child 10 spoons to wash, 10 spoons and some knives to wash, probably even to mop a room in a house, it's so different. On the other hand, if you give that kind of work to a 7-year-old, so age matters. Is it affecting their schooling? Is it work that has been contracted when they should be in school? Whether it is just 2 shirts they're washing, but is it affecting their schooling? Is it also, children are children, is it affecting their leisure? They need time to rest. They need time to sleep. In many societies, we believe that because our fathers, our grandparents did some work, such as fishing, I'll give the example of omena, which is fished late in the night. And many people will tell you, my father took me to fish in the night with lights because that's what attracts the flies that then come and the fish come out. Was that child supposed to be asleep at that time in readiness for school the following day? So there are certain things that you need to consider, and that is the age of the child, the number of hours, is it more than 2 hours a day? The type of hours, are they working when they should be in school? The nature of the work, is it dangerous work? Knives for a child of 8 years old, and also whether it is hazardous or not. Is it work in conditions that any child at all should not undertake? Are they working with heavy machinery? Are they working with chemicals? Are they working at heights? Are they working at depths? Are they mining? Are they carrying heavy loads? So that clears the line between child labor and child work on the other hand.
Can I ask Andrew if it actually does clear the line? Because I know we'll be getting some of these protections as we go along. But the lines seem to be a bit blurry, especially when we work against culture and tradition. Here in Africa, many would say that, well, the only way that you are going to be able to protect a legacy is if fathers and mothers showed their children trade, right? And so at that time, they did not recognize or they did not acknowledge it as putting this child in a laborious situation. But what they did was to guarantee that when they grew up, they would have something that would protect them economically. So how do you draw the line then between waking up your 11-year-old son at night to go to the river to fish omena? Because if you do not do that, in your mind at that time, that is the economic activity that is going to help you, right? And your wisdom is asking that you give this to your children. So how do you draw the line and say, well, this child ought to be asleep? But the father is thinking, when this child is 20, 18, 25, they're going to need something, and the only way I can show them is practically. How do you draw those lines?
Thank you. And it's a subjective test normally, not an objective test. One kind of the parameters do not fit across the board. You have to look at the context, situation by situation. And I'd like to give the example of the COVID period, and particularly our neighbors in Uganda. For long swaths of time, schools closed. In Uganda, they closed for a continuous period of 2 years. So you can imagine what happened when schools were closed. Girls got pregnant. The boys went into work. Their parents were at home. They lost their jobs. But boys were so nimble. At under 18, they were riding boda. They had a taste for money before their time, and getting back to school was difficult. But they sustained their families during that time. And it was a dilemma. A parent sits at home. He or she has lost their source of livelihood because of COVID, but the child is still able to get some work and support the family. So where is the moral high ground to tell them that your only source of income cannot be sustained because it is a child who is responsible for bringing it? And I think that takes us to some of the root causes of child labor. Actually, the main one is poverty. Economic situations that drive children into poverty. And more than a definitional issue, I think it is a question of how do we address child labor? It is for everybody, not just at family level. What can the government do? What can the society do? What can the social partners do? And that's where we come up with dynamics such as having a look at protection, such as social protection that can cover and cushion parents and families and vulnerable children against child labor. Access to free, compulsory, inclusive, and equitable education as well. How do you ensure that education is actually free and accessible and affordable so that these children coming from poor families who otherwise would be pushed into labor go to school, and other dynamics beyond that? Yeah.
There's some dynamics that are probably unforeseen, COVID being one of them, but before COVID there was HIV. Yeah. If you looked at communities that live around the lake, whether it's in Kenya or Uganda, many of the conventional bred earners, the adults, died. Yeah. So children were left either with very elderly grandparents or with adolescent siblings. And these people had to work. Yeah. There wasn't an option about it. And yes, given just the number of people who were claimed by the scourge of HIV, the situation as it was, the one thing that was certain, you didn't have an easy solution to the problem because it was there and you really didn't know quite what you ought to do. Now, again, protection is important. Educating children is important. But why we are having this conversation in this day and age is what I want to ask, because the protections didn't come in yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yet, we keep having this discussion. Why is it that it is impossible to get a handle of this problem and actually grind it to a halt? Why? Because On the one hand, ILO will come up with the things that they think would be able to help alleviate the situation, but it persists.
Yeah.
That's why the two of you are here.
Okay, that's a very good question, and thank you for raising it. Why do we continuously address this problem, and why isn't it going away? First of all, you talked about the issue of orphanhood. Orphanhood is one of, actually I think comes second to poverty as a root cause to this phenomenon. Simply because when children are left on their own, they have to fend for themselves. They have to find food. They have to live and continue a life. So many of the children that are found, be it agriculture, fishing, hawking on the street, or even in domestic work, you'll find maybe 9 out of 10 they will be orphans. They will have a background of having been left on their own or were given to some relative to take care of them, and they have found themselves in that situation. So the main reason why it keeps coming on is obviously we are not fighting poverty. Poverty keeps, it is one of the issues that remains with us, whether there's a pandemic, the difference or the poverty levels in all our sub-Saharan Africa countries continue to rise because of the economic situation that is in all the countries. So that has been either brought about by the governance issues in our countries. There's high levels of unemployment of adults. We have so many people out of work, and even those who are in work, what they have is not considered decent enough to provide for the needs of their families. We have very big families. Africans, we still have, we are producing many children that we cannot take care of. And so we find, this continues. No matter how many programs or interventions we have, it is going to continue. And what we are finding is actually the face of child labor also changes. You fight it in tobacco, it will run to sugarcane plantations. From sugarcane, it will either go to coffee, and so it goes on and on. And then, of course, of late, we are also encountering other forms in the online, with this technology. I think children are actually being abused online. And that's also because it's considered a form of exploitation. Talk about coding, the young children who are given work to do, and they are focused on that, and it deprives them of continuously finishing or staying in school and finishing their education. So I don't think I have one answer to you to say this is the reason, but there are so many reasons. And tackling child labor also requires a multi-sectoral, multi-dimensional approach where you have to think of various ways. I think for me, what is top is that if the adults got decent work and it was decent enough to pay for all their needs, to cater for their families, there would be no need to send any child to work. That's one. Secondly, if we had solid social protection policies and programs, I think there's been an attempt to do what they call cash transfers. That is a short-term solution. You give poor families some monies every month, but they are producing more children. So while you're catering for a few of them, the others are being born and filling the spaces. But also, I think most of the East African, South African, Sub-Saharan Africa region have attempted to institute free compulsory primary education as one of the long-term answers to these problems, so that you have all children go to school. Education, they say, is an equalizer. So you compete, and those who are able to go through and get employment or even do other forms of trade so that you are able to earn an income. But we are finding that there are other hidden costs that the parents are not able to meet. So school uniform, you would not believe it, is one of those factors that sends children away from school.
Yeah.
You know, because no education program of any country will provide you a school uniform or even scholastic materials, books, pens, and those poor people are not able to afford them. So children drop out. Food. When Kajiado last week, in some of the communities, children just run school because there's some kind of food. In their families, there's no food, and therefore they run to school. When the school is not able to provide, they won't go to school. For the girls, the menstrual periods send them out of school. So there's a lot more to look at when you're dealing with this issue.
Okay.
And
let's take a break. We'll continue the conversation shortly. It's 20 minutes to 8. We are talking about what we are calling the sorry state of child labor and trafficking in Kenya. We are joined by Grace Banda, who's a project manager for ILO CAPSA project, and Andrew Odete. He's engagement and partnership building officer for the same ILO CAPSA project. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. SpiceFM, Malindi.
On Uhuru Highway, quite some traffic as you're coming in from out from Capital Centre through towards the city. So that's very busy. It's also very busy on the Thika Superhighway this morning, reducing significantly on Kangundo Road, but Kiambu Road still with some traffic today. Now Waiyaki Way is busy getting towards the CBD. A quick look at Lower Kabete out through towards Spring Valley. Some busyness here. We are still in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we open up. Let's take a quick look also then at the Eastern Bypass, where traffic is still extremely busy, bumper to bumper through towards the Cabanas interchange, and then also inbound from Outer Ring Road. So that still continues this morning. Still in traffic hour. Talk to us if you're stuck somewhere. Let's see if you can find an easier route, or if you do have one, talk to us. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continue our conversation with Grace Banya and Andrew Odete from ILO CAPSA project, 20 minutes to 8. So I just want to throw in here an issue of trafficking, because you talked about child labor and it's still all up in the air. Trafficking, how do we define trafficking, Grace?
Yes, thank you. Trafficking includes recruitment, transportation, and harboring of human beings who are moved from one position or one location to another. And it always means that the person, or whether it's an adult or young person, does not consent to this whole idea of being moved from their one place to another. Oftentimes they are promised good life in the destination where they are being taken. For adults, we are finding many of those who are trafficked, it's either for jobs, employment, and obviously a promise of a better life. I'm sure you've heard about even Kenyans who are trafficked to the Gulf countries. And oftentimes we think trafficking involves people crossing borders from one country to the other, or actually being taken to another region. But the trafficking can be internal.
Okay, give us cases of child trafficking in Kenya.
Yes. There are cases, many cases. I possibly would not give you numbers of my fingers, but there are cases of children who are on the streets in Nairobi who have come from Tanzania, just your neighbor, or Uganda for that matter. I don't know whether you've heard, and possibly one of these days you'll invite us again to speak about a phenomenon of girls that have been trafficked from a region called Karamoja in the northern eastern part of Uganda, that are found in a place called Isiri. here in Nairobi, and they are being used in homes as domestic workers. So that's a very, very clear case.
How do they come here?
Interesting that you ask that question. How do they indeed come here? What we've been told, some of those we have interviewed, they cross the border, Busia border, and they come through buses, some in trucks, and whoever is behind the trafficking has promised them, a good life. They come for work. And so when they end here, how it actually turns into a case of trafficking, they run away from these places because, one, they're not paid. Two, because most are women, they are sexually abused and you'll find they are pregnant. There are several cases of those who have had, we've seen with carrying babies. And some of our partners that run shelters actually do rescue them. Interestingly, when they are taken back to Uganda, they return in a few weeks or so. So it's a whole recruiting system. And going back to the definition, that's exactly what it is. That the recruiters warn them never to say who they are, because there's exchange of money, obviously, that is involved. But with regard to like children who cross the borders from Tanzania, we also have worked around the Namanga border post. These are children who will cross, either they've come following grazing cows and they end up on the other side and they are not able to go back, or they are usually transported by the borders that cross them. Some of them are used to smuggle drugs and all kinds of things by adults. So yes, there is a big case here or issue of trafficking in Kenya.
Andrew, allow me to ask, we even with the campaigns, because there have been very many campaigns about stopping child trafficking, and usually it is to say stop child trafficking. But would we be able to look at it from a point of view of tighten the screws around the issues that would make individuals to traffic children, or that would make families to allow their children then to be taken? Economic issues, poverty issues, lack issues. Those are what we are talking about. Even the person who is trafficking, right? They are able to continue trafficking because in terms of security, in terms of making sure that the screws are tightened on things like corruption, those are not being done. Even in countries whereby trafficking may have been reduced, we'll find, and we can see that research has shown that precedent has been set, that there's 1, 2, 3 who've been arrested and charged and jailed. So the likelihood of another person doing it reduces significantly. So screws tightened there. We look at not making sure that all children who should be in school are in school. We look at making sure that parents who want to start businesses, for example, can do that. We look at people can get jobs. So if we tighten the screws on some of these things, don't we see that now this trafficking, because it happens as a result of all of these matters, all of these factors. If we tighten the screws around those elements, would we see that child trafficking then could reduce?
I agree, and I would say it's all the above. Efforts and interventions to end trafficking must both focus on preventive as well as redress, so that in the first place we ensure that the drivers, such as economic situations that push families to to collaborate, if you like, and being complicit in trafficking in persons, are addressed, but also, as you say, tighten the nuts so that the law enforcement agencies and other vigilant agencies are able, have capacity to detect trafficking, to stop it, to be able to investigate, to prosecute, to adjudicate, but also to provide protections and support for those who are survivors and victims of these violations. It's quite some ecosystem. You also say some people have been nabbed in the act, and that should be a deterrent. Funny how you'll find that it's rare that you catch the ringleader.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while,
You just catch
they are
this.
prosecuted.
Yes.
But that's because trafficking has different limbs, and it's also advanced by many moving parts, including those that are oiled by corruption. It could be someone who has posted an advertisement that there is a job at a certain place. Then the victims are transported along a corridor. So it's also the transporter. When they get somewhere, they're harbored, they are put up in a facility, and then later on they are told, you know what, the job we wanted to give you is not yet available, but can you do this meanwhile? You are coming to wait on tables, but can you dance for the patrons at this club?
And that was the
until
original
that-
intention.
Yeah, so the people who deploy you, so it's a long chain, but there's somebody hovering above there who is faceless and who is not on the ground and who is funding all this and who is lining the pockets of everybody along this corridor. So it's not an easy thing to detect. And many times you'll find that law enforcement would want to just harvest the low-hanging fruits and say, this person is in the country illegally. We are going to charge you with offenses related to that. Or you are loitering with intent. So we are going, but they don't go behind the scenes to try to unearth how did they get here in the first place. Yeah, and that's how sometimes you find that trafficking goes through the cracks. Yeah.
Do you have situations where young children, women, are actually taken against their will and transported to places where they then serve in conditions that are probably akin to slavery?
Yeah. The answer is yes. We have very many of those situations.
So they're abducted.
Well, yeah, you could call it that because, like Andrew was saying, the level of consent in these situations is also relative. Because if you've been told you're going to be taken to wait on tables and you end up in a brothel dancing and maybe serving the patrons of that facility, that's not what was originally the intention. And many cases of slavery, because say for example, I'll go back to the Karamajong girls example, where they're in houses, they have no say in whatsoever jobs they are given. They will work long hours, maybe no food at all, and they are not paid. So if there's anything that goes wrong, you just find your way, and that's how they are found after they've been thrown out of these households. So then they are loitering on the streets with babies begging, and they cannot speak the language here, so they are nabbed and maybe even repatriated back to the country. But you never know who was behind it. So yes, there are many cases, and we've seen most of them, but there are also those cases that are outside Kenya. I'm sure you've read in the papers, you've heard about the stories of the domestic workers who flock the Gulf countries. And either if you are lucky, you come back scarred, but most die and they throw themselves off buildings and things like that. So yes, they are forced to do what they were not even intended to do in the first place. This is now in the case of adults who are able to, even in many cases, go as if legally, because I think there's a phenomenon like labor exportation or something like that, where countries have agreed and they have signed bilateral labor agreements with country X, and they're saying, we'll send you a number of workers, and there are employment agencies that are involved. But that's another topic altogether. But if we focus on the issue of trafficking, we are looking at the illegality of it, but also the criminality of it, because it's really criminal.
But the real criminality is where all this begins. If people were not poor,
Yes.
Because poverty renders you helpless. You actually can't even make a decision on your own. Somebody's going to demand and make a decision for you.
Yes.
And on this continent, we seem to have accepted that some of us will be poor and that some of us will do exactly what we're saying. Because I'm saying this from the perspective that I do not see this coming to an end. There's an unless, of course, to it. But I don't see it coming to an end because it's not something that people seem to object to. Not really. Because in many cases, there are people who willingly allow their children or their relatives to be in this very situation that we are describing.
Yeah. And I agree with you to a large extent, because for as long as we have disparities between the rich and the poor, and there's no effort to bridge that gap, there's also the poverty of the mind, of not being really aware that could be a trafficking case where families and communities are giving away their children knowingly that they could end up in these situations. However, I think to say that it can't end and it will not end could also be a defeatist kind of, because I'm also thinking if you save even one person or two, you have saved lives.
Grace, there's an unless. I said there's an unless.
Yes.
Because you do not see this problem in countries where there is a strong push to ensure, one, that people actually get to go to school, children.
Absolutely. Yes. For example, if I can ask, please, do we see children who are in school actively from January to December being trafficked?
No.
Exactly. The children who are being trafficked are not in school. Isn't it?
Okay.
So if the systems, for example, had been set up, like CT is saying, to ensure that every child of school-going age is actually in school, if we make sure that parents, families, guaranteed by government, have some form of economic activity that will guarantee shelter, food, clothing, do we see people who are at least, I'm not even talking about well-off, that are able to afford even 2 meals a day and a shelter? Do we see children from those homes being trafficked?
No, not at all. And precisely that's why we are saying if the laws and policies that exist are enforced, and what you're saying precisely is that all children are in school, they are monitored, that you report day one of first term, and you know if you are not in school for 2 weeks following, there's a concern and a follow-up. But is that happening? And that's why we're saying if everybody plays their role, even at the lower levels. For example, one of the activities or the interventions we have had with Uganda in some of the target districts, the communities decided to establish a bylaw in their community and say any family that will be found sending their children to the sugarcane plantations will be punished. So that's community taking the law into enforcement. Enforcement. And then districts are also developing ordinances. That is in Uganda. Here in Kenya, the counties that we've worked in, Kwale, Mombasa, Bungoma, Kajiado, they've also decided to develop their standalone child labor policies where they're saying this is zero tolerance to child labor. Last week we were in Mombasa, the governor has taken the lead. And
so what is it? So what are they doing about it? So it is zero tolerance to child labor, but the root cause is all known. Yes. Are they saying that we are now coming up with programs that will ensure there's social safety nets? For example, with Kwale, Bungoma, are they, any of them saying that they're supporting families?
They are doing that. It's something that has been continuously happening with different partners, making sure that they are each other's keeper within the communities. They have child volunteers that go to the communities that report cases. Now, the families are on alert. It may not happen tomorrow, but there is at least an effort going into that direction.
Is there a program that is making sure that this family shall afford to buy uniform for their children when they're going to school, that this family shall be able to feed their children, or there is school feeding that will then attract the children to go to school. Because if you don't provide those, if you're not addressing the root cause, then all these are things of families monitoring one another. You're monitoring what? If my child has been sent home because of lack of school fees, monitor all you want.
I would agree, and I would agree. That question has been pondered and turned around so many times. The most famous and recent one is in 2022, when the Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labor, and I say child labor because most children, most people who are trafficked are deployed in labor. It was for the first time held on the African soil in Durban, South Africa, and the focus was on Africa. Why is it that so many years since we passed these conventions and started implementing actions, child labor and trafficking are still on the rise? And they came up with some pretty clear and targeted blueprints which go towards preventive and redress. And the first one was, you need to ensure that the economic situation of communities is something that would ensure that they do not fall into these traps. So social protection, universal access to social protection. The other was access to education for all children. The other one was about data. We do not know, we cannot put our finger and tell you the magnitude or the scale, the sheer scale of child labor and trafficking, because we are not used to undertaking research and analyzing it to develop a better understanding of the problem we are dealing with. But this conference was also informed by studies that found that most children in child labor are in the agriculture sector. How have we been addressing issues there before? You asked, what are they doing in these counties, and what is the national government doing? The government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and supported by the ILO, has a draft national policy on the elimination of child labor that takes in, among other targeted strategies, the Durban call to action that arose from the Durban meeting of 2022. And part of it is to ensure that there's social protection incrementally for children who are in need. So these things are being addressed. But there's also the component of financing for service provision and for administration of child labor. You'll find that many times it is left to a small ministry. I'm not saying small, but in terms of the budgetary allocation, the Ministry of Labor, and many times in many sub-Saharan countries, they are told, that is your monkey, deal with it. How can we ensure that there's a whole of government approach? If most children in child labor are in the agriculture sector, can we give greater mandates to these ministries also, and also the one of education, to have clear mandates to address child labor?
Thank you. Grace Banya, Project Manager, ILO CAPSA, and Andrew Odete, Engagement and Partnerships Building Officer at ILO CAPSA. They've been our guests talking about child labor and child trafficking in Kenya. It's 9:01. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Ubaga. The primary suspect in the Shiners Boys High School murder has been apprehended. Basic Education PS Belio Kipsang says the student, a Sudanese national, was reportedly lured back to the school after he travelled overnight to Nairobi shortly after allegedly stabbing a classmate in Nakuru County.
The incident that we had in Shinas on Saturday night was an unfortunate case. And I would want to really thank our security team because they were able to quickly swing into action. One is to secure the environment so that the problem does not become spiral. And two is that they were quickly able to apprehend the prime suspect, and that in itself was able to cool down the environment.
Kipsang father assured parents that their children were safe, as he also urged teachers to remain vigilant in order to arrest such cases on time.
We would want to assure our parents that we shall continue through the multi-agency team to ensure that our school environments are safe. We also urge all of us, teachers who are in our schools, to ensure that they improve on surveillance. They work very closely with the students and these kids so that they can be able to gather intelligent information, because these things don't just happen. Some of these things grew up over time, and therefore as schools we must improve our intelligent gathering systems so that it will be able to assist in preempting some of these cases.
Gilgil Sub-County Commander Winston Makia stated that upon his return to school, Dak was found with several rolls of bung in his jacket pocket. Dak was initially a student at Woodley Secondary in Kibra before his suspension due to disciplinary issues. Police report that 3 accomplices who are in custody will serve as witnesses in the case, which is under DCI investigation. The lecturers' strike, sanctioned by the University Academic Staff Union, has entered its second week today after talks with the government failed to materialize. Both parties had planned to hold an inter-ministerial committee meeting on Thursday last week to address the industrial action, but the government failed to honour it without explanation. The lecturers had been promised a salary increment of between 7 to 10% as part of the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement, but the government has only signed for 4.5%, which has not been disbursed. The strike has paralysed learning in public universities across the country, as well as graduations which were set to happen, which is much to the disadvantage of the students. With the polio vaccination campaign entering day 3 today, Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya has urged parents to allow health officials into their home and facilities and get their children under the age of 5 be vaccinated against polio. Natembeya has said that Trans Nzoia borders the neighbouring countries of the East African community that have reported cases of the virus, thus emphasising the need for children to be vaccinated. This event comes as the Ministry of Health has cleared any doubts about the vaccine.
Tunapeana chanjo saizi like rapid results kwa sababu kuna nchi ambazo zinapakana na Kenya ziko na ugonjwa, na unajua kuna usafiri mwingi kati ya Kenya na hayo mataifa, na hata kule kwa refugee camp Kakuma pia kuna visa ambavyo vimefunduliwa pale. Tulikuwa tumefika almost 90% coverage, lakini kwa sababu ugonjwa ni wa kuambukizwa, tafadhali tujitokeze. Watoto wetu ambao wako chini ya miaka 10 hata kama walipata chanjo ya polio, kwa mama tafadhali mkuwe tayari, wahudumu wetu watatembelea boma zenu wapewe chanjo, na pia wale ambao karibu na hospitali tafadhali muende kule, hii chanjo ni bure.
And finally, police in Siaya County are investigating the death of a 42-year-old man who allegedly died by suicide. Francis Oloch's body was found in his house at a village in Gemiala. Area Assistant Chief Vitalis Otunga said the deceased is suspected to have taken his own life following a domestic dispute with his estranged wife who left their home. The body was taken to a nearby mortuary awaiting post-mortem. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler?
Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Still busy coming off of the Eastern Bypass this morning, bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way through towards the Cabanas interchange. That's busy. We're also looking at Kangundo Road, which has been busy off the jump this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, traffic coming in from that Allsop stage is giving all the way through past Survey and then onto Murang'a Road at the roundabout of the Globe Cinema. It is also busy on Wangari Maathai Way. Today has been significantly busy here, and it looks like it's continuing. Kiambu Road business is still Kiambu Road business because traffic past the DCI headquarters now through towards Muthaiga Square. Lower Kabete, Spring Valley, very busy. Waiyaki Way, not too bad, but let's take a quick look at what's coming off of James Gishuru, and there is some traffic over the drift. Inbound traffic on the Red Hill Link Road is quite something, all the way from Kuna Road to Waiyaki Way. That is extremely busy. So we are still in traffic hour, even a few minutes after 9 o'clock. It's a busy Monday. Let's see what happens as we get through it. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
10 minutes after 9 on this 11th day of November 2024. It's 11:11. Yeah. So we've been talking about this for a while now. We've been talking about retirement and thinking about retirement and Taifa Pension Fund.
Well done.
Yeah. www.taifapensionfund.com. The fastest growing pension fund in the country.
Why fastest?
Because more and more people are becoming more and more clever. And they're saying, this is the way. This is the place. It has so many benefits for employers, so many benefits for employees. Because if your money goes into Taifa Pension Fund, let me tell you, for example, you as an employee, okay? Enhanced life insurance benefits. All members enjoy a death in service benefit of 3 times annual salary payable to beneficiaries, as well as critical illness, retrenchment, and permanent total disability benefit. This means if you die in service, and this is before, of course, your retirement age, you get what? 3 times annual salary payable to your beneficiaries.
Oh, wow. How nifty.
That's it.
Okay.
It's enhanced life insurance benefits, enhanced medical benefits. Members can save for medical needs and receive post-retirement medical cover from the CPF Post-Retirement Medical Fund. So as you're saving now, you can save into your post-retirement medical scheme. So once you retire, you are sorted medically. You don't have to start thinking now at that point when you don't have an income and you need to pay insurance premiums.
What are you gonna
No, you paid your insurance when you were working. And now you're covered. Speedy payment of benefits. Within 14 days of you lodging a claim, your money comes. Not those ones over to you. Unajua nilikuwa nimekuja hapa tangu 6 months ago. Nimeambiwa ule mtu alikuwa hapa, alikuwa anaitwa Charles. Naambiwa ati alienda retire. Na mimi niko hapa niko retire. Yes, stories. You don't want those things.
With TPS.
You do not want those things, okay? Yeah, taifapensionfund.com. Sinyo?
You know, it's funny, but my friend, when a retiree tells you their tales of war, those are my age mates, people who have gone to look for their money. Where? Where?
And you've retired and you've been contributing.
That's why you've gone to ask for the money, because you actually contributed.
You even have your records.
And you were told that when you get to this time, you'll be able to get it. then your problems begin.
Yeah, it's really painful. So for the next hour, let's have a conversation about active citizenship, right? And our guest this morning is an active citizen. Wairimu is one of those who was in the case, the impeachment, regarding Gachagua impeachment cases in court, public interest litigation. And she's done very many other things. Wajiro, good morning.
Good morning.
How
My
are
name
you?
is actually Wanjiro Mwangi.
Oh, yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
I think there was a mistake.
Yes, I said Wairimu. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's Wajiro Mwangi.
Yes.
I was reading Wairimu's comment.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Irene Wairimu, who's very, very active.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The limit of my knowledge of the language of Kikuyu, Nekewe.
Serious, that's it. Nekewe.
He has a lot more.
I think we're almost on the same page, so I think we're okay.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you today?
Very good.
Yes.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Feel at home.
Thank you.
Feel at home.
Yes.
Now, Ndu will tell you about Tala and the importance of Tala. You heard of Tala?
Yeah, I've heard
about
it.
I've been stuck in a jam.
Yes,
Sometimes you need that like 2,000, 5,000, something.
Yeah.
Right? And you think, okay, where am I going? I've asked everybody, nobody has money. So Tala says, you know what? You don't need to do the helter-skelter. Come and talk to us. We can be your partner when you need to bridge. So it's bridging money, Here, do this. For a lot of people getting into a business whereby you need stock. Do your stock, replace. Tala then gives you 61 days to pay back, with the interest, of course, but has become a real partner for a lot of folks over the last few years, and said, we can actually be that bridging partner for you when you need those extra funds. Do your business, pay it back, and continue to grow how much you're able to borrow.
Okay.
And, keeping your business private, keeping your information private, not going to go and broadcast to the world how, we borrowed 2,000 shillings kind of thing,
Yeah.
So keeping your business private and also helping you to get from one spot to the next when you need it. You can download it, download the app on your Google Play Store, and then get into borrowing and paying back with regularity. They'll be your partner for life.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right. What are the interest rates?
10%, something like that.
10%. Oh, that's not bad. Actually, that's quite good.
It's not bad.
And it's
You
instant.
talk to me. You're saying?
Yes.
It's instant. The money comes to you instantly.
Oh, nice.
And you decide between 1 and 61 days.
Oh.
When are you going to pay?
So they give you options.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's quite good.
You choose.
Oh, that's really good then.
Yeah.
So they don't tell you it's 30 days and it's
this percent. No.
So you
They're not-
decide.
Yeah, that actually sounds very interesting.
I've
Thank you for
borrowed
that.
this today. I know I'm going to get my money at the end of the week. So just say 5 days.
Really?
I'll pay within 5 days. Sour.
And okay.
And if you pay within 3 days, it's okay.
It's okay too.
So they don't charge you the other extra interest for the other 2 days.
No
three
hidden
days.
charges. No,
I think that's quite good then.
Yeah.
I will definitely download the app and try it.
Very good.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Yes.
City.
Hey.
Time for the proverb.
Right. Our proverbs for today come from a country you may be familiar with. Yes. It borders the Indian Ocean.
That's a lot of countries.
I've just begun actually.
Okay.
Okay. So now, it's a process of elimination.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's do this.
It has several neighbors. One is Tanzania.
Okay.
Another one is Uganda. Another one is Southern Sudan. Another one is Ethiopia. Another one is Somalia.
Oh, is that Kenya?
Are you sure?
I hope so. Indian Ocean? And all those are our neighbors? I'm pretty sure. I hope so.
You hope so?
Are we in Kenya?
Right now?
No, not right now.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, it'll be a bit of a problem. We've been talking things all morning, the assumption that we're in Kenya.
I'm going to have to ask this question. Are you Kenyan?
Yes, I try.
Okay. It is indeed Kenya. Our proverbs for the whole of this week will be from the Republic of Kenya. It'll be in Kiswahili, and I'll ask you to interpret it in English, and then perhaps tell us what you think the meaning is.
Okay. My Swahili is amazing, so...
No, don't worry, you're in good company.
Okay.
Wow.
Chui hakumbatiwi.
So a chewy is, I'm assuming, a leopard or a cheetah. I hope so.
So far, you're doing okay.
Yeah?
Let's keep up with the hope.
Okay.
Hakumbatiwi.
Hakumbatiwi.
Yes.
Okay, that one.
It's a Swahili word.
Mbata umbatiwi.
I thought I was doing badly.
Oh, I do
I'm not even Kenyan.
I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Hey.
These Kenyans are wonderful people.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brilliant at Swahili. You
All
can
right,
tell.
all right. A leopard is not embraced.
All right. Interesting.
You all need to talk to those guys at KWS on Langata Road. Because at the cheetah den, it's chewy.
Cheetah?
At the cheetah den, it's written chewy. Yes.
See, it's not our fault.
It's not our fault. We saw it there. That's why we thought.
Okay.
What do you think that proverb is telling us?
The cheetah is, sorry, what? The leopard?
Is never embraced, never hugged. You don't hug a leopard.
Well, I think they're solitary creatures, so they're quite independent. So I don't think they would go looking for trouble and danger. They're quite isolated, keeping to themselves. So I think if you go looking for one, it will definitely not embrace you or you embrace it back.
Okay.
Yes.
So leave sleeping leopards sleep.
Yes, please.
Let sleeping leopards lie.
Let them hug it themselves.
We are kindred souls because that's exactly what I said in the morning.
Really?
Let them hug them. They hug
Let them hug each other.
Yeah, let them hug themselves.
You keep off.
Do they have leopards in Nigeria?
We have other things too. Would you like to know? See me behind the tent.
Wanjiru?
Yes.
We saw you on national TV speaking before the 3-judge bench.
Yes.
And this is in the consolidated cases around the impeachment.
Consolidated, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why were you there?
So I am, I'm just a private citizen. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm obsessed with the Constitution. I think it is one of the most fantastic documents that we have in this day and age. And my co-petitioner is a guy called Dr. Ombaso. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it here today. He's also just a layman. He's a doctor. And he managed to get the documents for BBI, read them all the way and went to the Supreme Court and won on public participation. So he's also not a lawyer. So I remember he called me about this Rigathi Gachagua impeachment case. And he's just like, oh, you know, I don't think how they're impeaching Rigathi Gachagua is correct. For me, I'm just like, I don't really particularly care because the shareholder comments is one of the reasons why I was on the protests. I was in the protests in the streets in June. Because I'm just like, you cannot call us a country of shareholders while we are the ones who have employed you. And when it's true, they are our employees, and then they're telling us that they're the ones who own us. So it's very bizarre. So Dr. Ombaso and I had a massive argument, and I told him, there's no way I'm going to defend Rigathi. I think he should absolutely be impeached. And I thought it was actually quite laughable. If you asked me a year ago if I'd be trying to defend freedom of speech for Rigathi, I'd have told you there's absolutely no chance that would happen. So after I read the notice of motion that was passed in the National Assembly, I told him, okay, we have a very, very serious problem here. So the grounds they impeached Rigathi on were impacting freedom of conscience, Article 32.1, and freedom of expression, Article 33. And I thought that was a very slippery slope. It's about he said this, somebody felt like that, and there were no solid grounds of corruption. We agreed with the corruption charges, but when it came to speech, we're just like, if they can silence a deputy president that quickly and that easily, who are the rest of us? Next, they'll come for the judiciary, they'll come for the media, they'll come for the opposition, anybody that speaks out, and it's going to be a very slippery slope. So when I read that, I said, you know what, actually, let's file an application. So he drafted the application, we went through it, we talked about it, and we filed it on the 8th of October, before the impeachment of the National Assembly. And then we were given directions on the 9th of October, and by the time we were being heard, the impeachment process had already passed at the National Assembly. So it was now at the Senate. We got heard on the 16th of October, and on the 17th, our file got passed to the CJ on the 16th of October, and on the 17th, the Senate had now impeached Rigathi Gachagua. So we now found ourselves being in a situation where our application was overtaken by events. And it was really devastating because we're just like, we wanted them to stop at the National Assembly so they could correct the infringement on our rights. Because we remember not long ago, it was even dreaming about the president dying was treason. And we thought this was like an extremely dangerous place to be as the nation of Kenya. It will start with the deputy president, and if they can do it so easily, it will just be an avalanche of our rights being taken away.
So you felt that the impeachment motion was it was basically saying we should have gagged Rigathi.
Yes.
He shouldn't have said all the things that he said.
Correct.
But you now as Wanjiru,
yes,
were not happy with the things that Rigathi was saying.
No.
And you were hoping that he doesn't say them.
No, I want him to say them. Stories za jaba tunataka. You know, the jaba is what made us so angry that
but
we
you're
went
out on the streets because he was saying the things that he was saying.
Yes. So we were out on the streets because he was actually illuminating a part of the political process that has been hidden. And I liked how he came to the media and he actually exposed and he said this, Wetangula has 30%, Juju, who else has 30%? And that's the reality of what's happening in our country. There are deals that are being made behind the scenes. So we're just like, we want that freedom of expression so we can be angry with what he says. And the reality is that there are remedies in court. He could have been sued for defamation. Yeah? But the way they were trying to gag him, we're just like, slippery slope. So that was our main concern. We're just like, can you take it back to the National Assembly? Can they impeach him on the actual offendable grounds like corruption? Because we agree on the grounds of corruption. But when it comes to he said, she said, there are legal remedies for that outside the impeachment process.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we seem to have gotten into kind of like the theatre of the absurd.
Yes.
That we are going... and stop me if I'm wrong, that we are going after folks who, and it could be anybody, it could be the former deputy president today, somebody else tomorrow.
Yes.
But that it doesn't matter what it is that they say, that the freedom of speech must be or is actually guaranteed by the Constitution,
yes,
and that is what should be protected.
Yes, that's what we were saying. We're saying, however offensive it is, however obscene it is, however absurd it is, let him say it. Let us make a decision ourselves as a country how we feel about those remarks. Because for the reality is, this was not about tribe. We were all so angry at our political class because of comments like that. You know, so they rallied us all behind one single enemy. No, sorry to say enemy, but we literally channeled ourselves and focused on the issue. And the issue was we have a political pandemic. It is not about tribe, it is not about age, it is not about hustler versus dynasty. We have a political pandemic. And it seems to us like they're trying to now silence everybody who's going to speak out against them. So what's going to happen then? We're going to be in a full-on dictatorship. So that was our main plight.
So you went to court?
Yes.
And then your case, your application plus the others by Rigathi himself and others were then consolidated?
Yes.
And you were heard at the same time?
Okay.
Were you?
No, not really. So what happened is our file was sent to the Chief Justice on the 16th of October. And then the 17th of October, Rigathi was impeached by the Senate. I think he was a little bit heartbroken and he couldn't make it into the Senate to explain himself. So then our file was sent to the Chief Justice. Some application came in from the Attorney General on a Saturday, the 18th of October, which we found very bizarre. And then on Monday, when we go to court, it is Rigathi Gachagwa's lawyers fighting about an application because I think they managed to secure conservatory orders from Chacha Mwite and orders barring Kindiki from being sworn in. So that seemed to be the main focus. So our application, when we went to court on Monday, I think it was the 20th, was not even there. So we were asking the judges, we're just like, what is happening? Because as far as we're concerned, our file was sent to the Chief Justice on Thursday. The bench was created on the 14th, the Monday before, so that all the applications could be heard. Why is our application not in court today? So it was a very interesting process that was happening. So the other side wanted desperately the conservatory orders to be lifted and Kindiki to be sworn in. So the atmosphere in the court was so tense. You could feel it. Even the judges were just like, we have to move this, but they didn't know how to move it. And due process says that everybody should be heard. And we are the first applicants actually who filed, so we should have been heard together. So what ended up happening is the Judiciary then came and told us, hey, they told us, come back, let's check on your file. So on Monday evening, we wrote to the Chief Justice. We said, we are not understanding why our file is not in court. Could we please understand? Because the three-judge bench was commissioned to deal with, what's the word they call it? The three-judge bench was, it's created for...
Paneled.
Yes, sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes, it was impaneled to hear all these matters. So then on Tuesday, we come to court and our files are there. And then there's still several other candidates whose files are not being placed in court. So we're trying to understand what's going on. So then there's an application for, I think it was recusal. No. Then the first issue they have to deal with is, how are you guys sitting on a Saturday? Which is fair. So all our applications took a backseat so the judiciary could actually explain that. And I told my co-petitioner, I said, the judiciary is going to protect itself. That's what they always do. And that's what they did. Then after that, the process says that they have to now deal with recusal applications, which is what they did. Frankly speaking, I think it was very distasteful when they involved the wives, the spouses of the other people without enough evidence. I believe if you're going to take a shot at the judiciary, don't miss, because they're actually very powerful people. And then after that, then the judges said they're going to give us a ruling, and they said, we're going to hear you guys on the 29th of October, and we protested. We said, why is everybody else being heard on a Thursday? I think Thursday was like the 26th, and we were being told to come the next week on the 29th.
And yet you're the first people
We are the first people, and we are laymen, so we are not lawyers. So technically speaking, we should have been given a little bit of allowance, which we weren't. So the 29th of October came, so then they gave the ruling for the recusal, and before the ruling they gave for the recusal, they said, one, we're going to deal with 2 petitions only on the following Monday. This is on the Tuesday 29th. So they said they're going to deal with the one that was from the Attorney General and the one that was from Rigath's team, the one for the conservatory orders. Then they gave the ruling, said that they're going to recuse themselves, which they uploaded onto the CTS system 4 days later. So we couldn't really tell what the reasons were for them not recusing themselves. So we get a court on a Tuesday, and I remember discussing this with my co-petitioner over the weekend. I said, we are going to be bulldozed out of this courtroom. And I told him, and if we are not careful, we're not going to get heard. And if we don't get heard, there are a lot of people's lives who have been lost in this process. And our moment will just disappear and it will fade away into history. And that's what happened. So he says, no, let's apply to be interested parties, because in these applications, which is what we did, we applied to be interested parties, but as an interested party, you're not really the main party in the suit, so you don't get as much leeway. So we were only given about 5 minutes each to speak. And in those 5 minutes, I don't think we had ample time to actually deliver the message home that we needed to, because I think Kenyans really needed that moment of pause from our judiciary. It was a beautiful moment that we lost. I think the accumulation of 2007, all the lives lost, to 2024, I think the judiciary owed us a pause as Kenyans, just to pause.
So
and
you
be
only
like,
got
okay.
5 minutes.
We only got
after all this back and forth.
Yes.
You only got 5 minutes in court.
Yes.
Did you exhaust your 5 minutes?
I'm not sure. So I also have a learning disability or ability, which I don't particularly like to use, because I think it's not. I feel like it's like a cheat card, but it's really not. I was diagnosed with dyslexia at 14 years old, so sometimes it takes me a longer time to get everything else I want in person. And in court, they have this thing where they knock. Type. Yes. So when I get rushed, sometimes I start rapping because I start speaking really fast. So we feel like we weren't afforded an opportunity. And I believe that Article 1, the reason why it said you can appear directly, was for moments like this. Because all the parties on both sides are being paid. We were the only Kenyans who are self-funded, who are just like, wait a minute.
This is not right.
Just stop. Wait a minute. People have died. Wait a minute. What was the point of 2007 if the 2010 Constitution cannot give us pause to think about those actions so we don't repeat them? So it was just truly unfortunate. And we spent the weekend mourning because we could not believe how quickly Kindiki was sworn in, and it's just unfortunate. And it was a beautiful time, and I wish the judiciary had just paused. But unfortunately, we have missed our moment.
Is there no way this thing can be reintroduced again?
For which process? Our application?
Your application.
I think, yes, but the damage is already done. You see, we had an opportunity to stop the train in its tracks, right, before repeating the cycle, because I really believe Kenya is in a test, trial, and tribulation. I think that we keep making the same mistakes, and we keep being presented with the same problems. And I really believe, I think it's not really helpful to us when you tell us we'll give you a remedy after the fact, when our constitution actually provided remedies for us during that particular time. It already planned for that.
Ejiro,
yes.
You said you were going to court.
Yes.
Not necessarily about Rigathi.
Yes.
It was about this and the precedent it's likely to set.
Correct.
So the precedent has been set.
Yes.
You can go and still apply and argue that this was wrong and this should not happen again.
Yes.
That, we should have constitutional safeguards so that if Wanjiru wants to say whatever she wants to say, she has the right to say it.
Yes.
As long as, of course, all the other safeguards are met. You're not offending somebody. Your right ends somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not just a blanket one. But maybe there's an opportunity. Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly.
Okay.
It's 28 minutes to 10. Our guest this morning is Wanjiru Mwangi. She's an active citizen. She was very much in the streets during the June protests and very much active elsewhere. And she's a rights defender. She got a call from a co-petitioner, Dr. Clarence Ombaso, who said, you know what, this petition as the motion for impeachment as it's being presented against the deputy president is infringing on his right to speak and the freedom of expression. And they agreed and they went to court. And this is what now we're hearing, the experience through this and what it means. What does it mean for jurisprudence? What does it mean for the constitution? What does it mean for our judicial system? We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
Since I'm not shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
the sheep man.
One of Talam used to tell us a story of they were in school and then been told to write composition about a sheep. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a sheep or a sheep goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
all right, still a bit of a drizzle in Nairobi, 18 degrees, highs of 21 and lows of 15, and we'll see lows of 14 in a rainy Nakuru at 19, going to highs of 24. The rain is also coming down in Nyeri at 19, highs of 22 and lows of 14. It's a sunny Eldoret at 20 with highs of 24. 30 degrees and sunny in Mombasa with highs of 32 and lows of 25, and we'll see lows of 25 as well in a sunny Malindi, going to highs of 32. Looking into Kisumu at 26 is cloudy, highs of 29, while it's sunny at 24 in Kakamega with highs of 29 and lows of 17. Sunny conditions at 23 in Kampala with highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam is sunny at 28, we'll see highs of 31. Johannesburg at 17 is sunny with highs of 21, and we're looking into a sunny Mogadishu at 30, going to highs of 32, 17 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 23. Lagos is sunny at 25 with highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 29 in a mostly sunny Kinshasa at 24. 13 degrees and sunny in Beijing going into afternoon Monday, and 8 degrees and cloudy in Paris with highs of 12. It's reducing in temperature at 9 degrees in London with highs of 12, and Sunday night still cloudy in New York at 13, coming into Monday highs of 20 and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right, it's 24 minutes to 10. Our conversation with Wanjiru Mwangi continues. Wanjiru, what do you do when you're not in court or on the streets?
Unfortunately, I have been more and more in court. Speaking about jurisprudence, my dad, I think a lot of people know there's all of these succession cases in court that tend to drag on and on and on. So unfortunately, I've been character developed by advocates over the last couple of years. Seriously character developed. So he's luckily for me, he's let me represent him. He's given me his power of attorney, and the civil procedure rules allow you to act in person. That's why you can go represent yourself in person or act on somebody's behalf who is not able to. So yes, I think for me that's...
So you are an experienced litigant?
Trying.
Good.
Trying, yes.
Good. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's about it. And I'm an entrepreneur as well, and a tribal activist.
Tribal
a tribal activist?
I created this hashtag in 2017 called I Am Kenyan, and it has all the tribes of Kenya in it, and the hashtag Mimi Nim Kenya. So I realized that because I grew up obviously not in Kenya, and I realized that a lot of divisive tactics we had to separate us was divide and conquer. And I'm obsessed with tribes. They're so beautiful. The culture, the heritage, the language, the customs. And when I realized that, because I actually remember trying to get endorsed by government agencies, even National Cohesion didn't even sponsor us in 2017. And we just realized that this conversation was not for them to change. It was for us to change, because they were profiting off tribalism, the same way they were profiting off Hustler versus Dynasty. And it's just something that will never end unless we decide as citizens how we want to be led.
Petitioning at the court obviously is a right of every Kenyan citizen.
Yes.
To go to court to say, look, there's certain things that we see constitutionally that should be done that are not being done, and that's why you go to court to either overturn or shape, right?
Yeah.
Because then they tell us that their job is to interpret and say, okay, look, this is what the law says, this is what has been brought before us, let's see what we can do with it. The frustration that you feel after having gone through this October period, and from what you think that nothing was done. CT here would tell you no. That, by nature of the fact that you went and were heard.
Yes.
And people saw and people understood that there has been a step that has been taken in a forward direction. And that what will cement that kind of action is continuous engagement at that kind of level. Because they say that you keep knocking at the door, either somebody's going to get so frustrated with the sound that they're going to open it, or they're actually going to want to see you. So one of those two things will result in the opening of the door.
Yes.
What are your thoughts in terms of, okay, well, you know what, we've been kicked in the teeth because, okay, we didn't get what we wanted. But does that mean that you stop?
No. First of all, thanks. And I do agree with City over here. I think part of our constitution is working. And I think the reality is not all of it is working, because it's a document that has so many changes that effecting them all at once is virtually impossible. So I am grateful, and I know that there are people who suffered and lost their lives for us to be given this opportunity and the moment and time to speak, and that is why we went to courts. But at the same time, Article 27 guarantees equality. Right? So we're supposed to, when we're in courtrooms with lawyers, when we're in courtrooms with the Solicitor General, with the Attorney General, when the courtrooms with senators, it doesn't matter. We're supposed to be treated equally to them. And I think that's the next part of actualizing it. So yes, there is a lot of hope for Kenyans. And yes, it is a door for people to walk in and actually seek justice. I just do not think that the judiciary will be that positively responsive, because a lot of lawyers will also lose their jobs in the process.
Why? I need to stick on that point specifically, because you feel already that the judiciary will not do what it is constitutionally bound to do?
No, I feel like they interpret it, but how they interpret it sometimes is a little bit confusing, because like if you look at Article 163, it actually gave the grounds for when we can have a vacancy in the deputy's office. It's not imagined. It has been written there precisely. So him being impeached, by all means, he's not dead. And if he was dead, we would still get 60 days. So I feel like there are processes that have already been established. And for the judiciary to say, well, not yet, there's no precedent. The precedent is the Constitution. And if they read the letter to the T, I think the answer is already there. And I think that's where we find a place where, obviously, I don't blame the judiciary for what's going on, because if you look at what happened with Justice Mugabe, and when he summoned the Inspector General, his security was compromised. So I understand that the judiciary also have a lot to lose as individuals. They're humans also having a human experience. So I think we just have to be more gracious with each other. We have to review our Constitution and understand that these are hypocritical oath that they took without fear, favor, ill will, bias. It's impossible as a human being to do any of those things. AI can do it, but our reality is that we can't. And I think factoring in those things into accommodation, I think moving forward, we have to make significant changes in our country as a younger generation and as the older generation as well. I think we have to sit down and reanalyze our Constitution and be like, actually, this is what we got right. This is what we haven't managed to implement. Let's have a conversation around that. Because I do feel like our judiciary need other protection other than state protection if they're going to effectively deliver independent rulings. Until then, I think it's just we're just grasping at straws.
Do you think that if there was more in terms of independent private petitioners, citizen petitioners, if there was more engagement, do you think that it would move the needle that you see that is so stuck right now?
Move the needle
from the judiciary point of view, because you're saying it looks like, I mean, you mentioned state capture in a previous document.
I think.
Do you think that if there were more people coming out, if there were more people petitioning, if there were more people going to court and saying, no, freedoms here guaranteed by the Constitution are not being met?
Yeah.
Because you it almost sounds as though you're saying that the judiciary is already stuck. Whether you talk until you're blue in the face, it's like it's a predetermined judgment. If more people came forward and kept anybody righteous,
do you think
it would make a difference?
I think it would, but I think we also have to look at the reality on the ground. There are 200 judges in Kenya, 20,000 lawyers, and I think we're about 58 million people, and everybody has to end up at the judiciary at some point in time. I think it is an impossible job for them to do. They are outmanned, they are under-resourced, and they're not in every single county. That's a reality. So I do think a lot of people going into the judiciary and actually seeking justice would make sense. But the institutions have not been stabilized yet intentionally. This is intentionally. Remember, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta said we'll revisit the judiciary, and he did. And some of us have paid the price for the last couple of years by not having enough judges to hear our cases. So the reality is, it is as much political as it has always been. And until we get ourselves, my dad called it a colonial hangover. Yeah, we have a colonial whiplash hangover where we still believe certain things function in a certain way, but the reality is our constitution has overtaken such things. So we find ourselves in a precarious situation because as much as we'd want 1 million people to go to court, can the judiciary handle that capacity? I don't think they can right now.
You know, the law, by its very nature, exists because there's this understanding that human beings are more inclined to doing wrong than doing right. Yeah. If the fundamental understanding was that we are likely to do right, the judiciary would not be that important. Now, when you're dealing with a political situation, I think beyond the law, you have to understand with great clarity how the political system in this country works and how our politicians work within that system. Because in order for them to get what it is that they want, they will often skirt on the borders of either abrogating that law completely, bending it, twisting it, moving around it, or looking for someone who they think will be complicit with the plans they have. So you as a lay person, you start with the wrong end of the stick. That's your starting point. Now, the issue that we're discussing at the reference point of the impeachment of the deputy president, it's the situation, not the impeachment. It's like the thinking around it. A watershed moment. It reminds me of the repealing of Section 2A. In the absence of that, the repealing of Section 2A, Kenya would not be where it is today because multipartism wouldn't have been there. With multipartism came all these things that we've seen. We've had one referendum, wonderful thing. We didn't know what a referendum was like, but we saw it. We have seen a situation where a presidential election is told, not happening, have it again. Now we've seen an impeachment. Now, every time something this momentous happens, we set something in motion. And those who set it in motion, what I'm certain about is that they haven't completely understood that there will be consequences, most of which will not be in their favor.
I agree. I think you make a very fair and valid point, and you are right. It was 19th June 1982 when we moved from multi-party democracy to a single-party dictatorship. And that was a young Mwai Kibaki and a Charles Jonjo. And that is what we saw. We saw our history repeating itself. Well, just like it's a very slippery slope because soon after that happened the August coup of 1982. People's now repression. And we have seen that again happening. People have actually fought. We are the only country that has fired our employees and they have refused to go home. And I find that absolutely bizarre. We went to Parliament. We told them, hey, you guys, go home. You have done a good job, but not good enough. And they said, no, we're going to stay. And then Ruto fires his cabinet. And then the fired employees who are MPs go back and hire the fired cabinet. And we're just like, okay, are we mad as a society?
Now that right there, you've actually encapsulated our political system in a way that is very difficult to do. I can't capture it in a better way.
Yeah.
Now, it tells you about the thinking, it tells you about the psychology, it tells you about the intentions, and it shows you a clear roadmap. This is what the political leadership is.
Yes.
And so if you're going to deal with the political leadership, remember, they more or less decide the directions we take, even with our law. Okay? Once you've understood them, then you, when seeking to have a contest with them, please don't start from the point of view that these people will be fair. They will not be fair.
Never.
Never, ever.
Never.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, once you've understood that, and right now, and especially when their backs are against the wall, because their backs were against the wall, they have now been alerted as to the possibilities. And then they proceed to impeach a deputy president. My goodness. In my mind, these people have cut off their own legs without even realizing they've cut off their own legs.
Yeah.
Because if we can impeach a deputy president, what's an MP? We can recall you tomorrow.
What's the president? When Parliament has found out their job is to actually oversight the executive, then it's a beautiful day to be alive.
Precisely.
Yes.
You see, now, I look at the situations that we have, even the ones we consider to be bad, apart from the fact that it just affords us a little learning, but it also tells you how blind those who are in political power are, because they don't seem to fully understand or comprehend what they've set in motion.
Yeah.
And how detrimental it will be to them.
I agree. I sincerely hope for the spirit of Kenya that that's what happens, because I really feel like we're in a spiritual battle here.
When did we have ordinary citizens going to court? It started off with people like Omtata.
Yeah.
It's caught on. People go to court now.
Yes, they do.
People take their leaders on.
Yes.
People take their governors on.
Yes.
Now, these are not small things. Then you have an entire generation telling the political class, we are fed up.
Go home.
We are actually completely fed up. Forget our parents. They seem to tolerate you. You need to leave. Now, that generation are literally the future.
Yeah.
People who are my generation, there's one foot in the grave, there's one here. You can actually go at any time. So when you're alive, you need to be very grateful.
Yeah.
And yes, my generation are the ones who sleep and never wake up. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this other group of people are many. They are really very many.
Yeah.
They're not going away soon.
No.
So, don't you think somebody who is prudent or smart or wise would understand this and do something about what they're telling them? Because they are Kenyans like you, they're your employer also.
Yeah.
And they're telling you something and you're ignoring them. What do you think they're going to do to you?
I think this spirit of revolution is just beginning. And I really feel like the political class are completely unaware of what is happening, because I have a lot of friends who have studied abroad, gone to very expensive schools, have good jobs, run their parents' companies, and they were on the streets. We even wrote our phone numbers down on our bodies in case we got shot or injured, because we are just tired. We have lived in these countries where their systems work. We're going to spend a lot of money being educated there while Africa is being robbed by Africans for white people, which doesn't make sense to us. So the reality is we're 80%, as much as Ruto refers to us as human capital, which is basically slaves, that human capital is going to come back for him. And we are coming, because we are not stopping. We want our country back, and there's nothing going to stop us from getting it back. And my dad always told me, he tells me this thing. He said, why do you complain about other countries if you're not going to fight for your home? He says, all those other countries, their citizens fought for them to be like that.
And continue to.
Yes. So you either fight or you keep quiet and you leave. But he told me, when you leave, you have to remember you will not have another home. Kenya is actually your only home. And so on that basis, I said, you know what? Come and buy Mbaya. And as much as you're feeling death, for you, death is 1 foot away. For our generation, it is more so right now. Speaking out gets you disappeared, you in a gunia, you're missing, you're abducted. It doesn't make sense to us. And at the end of the day, we look at Ruto, we're just like, we're 80% of the population. We're more or less 40-something million. Are you planning on killing 40 million people so you can be by yourself in Kenya? Because it definitely won't work. Because as far as we understand the mathematics, we are the statistics that they need to borrow loans off. So it's imperative to keep the population alive and healthy. But in him, he's taking a completely different approach. And I think it's, again, that colonial whiplash, the hangover of let's do things like Moi did. And we're just like, you're not Moi. And we are also not Moi citizens.
Indeed.
Yeah.
There's also, and which has been called for a lot, that, the revolution in the mind, obviously, when you say, no, this is not on, this cannot be anymore. But then there's also the call for what ought to be.
Yeah.
And it's very necessary that in as much as the angst, in as much as the, just really the fed upness, if we can use that, let that be a word from today, all right? If that also is out in the open, then there must also be solution-oriented emotion that must be out there as well.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? Go get a voter's card? What are we saying? Make sure that you vote in 2027. Make sure that you are aware of what your constitution says. What are we saying needs to be done? Because all this emotion, pent up or otherwise, has to produce offspring, right? That is going to lead people forward.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with that emotion, which is well, it's well nurtured, and it is very well within, anybody's right.
Yes.
What do we do with it?
First of
so
all,
that we don't waste it.
First of all, there's nothing in our constitution that says we have to wait until 2027. As far as I understand it, a vote is a 5-year employment contract. Kura ni kibarua ya miaka 5 kufanya kazi. And there's nothing that says that if our help are not working, we have to just endure and suffer. Because right now we are actually all paying for our suffering. And I think that is ridiculous. Like you wake up in the morning just like, who's going to torture me today? Here's my money. So I think we have to change our mindset as to what is going on in our constitution and what we're entitled to. And that's why you see Ruto is very fearful of reconstituting IBC. Because he's afraid of a referendum. But in court right now, what has happened is that they have said that IBC did not need to be part of Kindiki's approvals. We're just like, great. So when we have a referendum, please, IBC, stay out of this one as well. Because a referendum is going to happen. And I think that was another safety mechanism in our constitution in case this same scenario happened again. I think Kibaki and the drafters of our constitution had the foresight of foreseeing the same thing happen again. And because they were part of the system and part of the game, they didn't want to tell us how it's played. But now I think we can all see what is happening.
Do you have friends who are constitutional lawyers? No, not who say they are, but who actually are.
Well, I had a lawyer who said he was a constitutional lawyer, and he did some things that were
unconstitutional.
I think blatant fraud. So,
why I asked the question is because the moment we get into the arena where we're now talking about what is constitutional and what isn't, that's where those who've taken the time and bother to study these things come in handy. Because we've had that discussion here. Do you need the commissioners for certain activities to take place, or is the executive just good enough? Once you have the CEO and the people who work within the secretariat, are they adequate? Okay. Or what is it that they can do without the commissioners, and what can they not do without the commissioners and so forth? It's an interesting discussion.
It is, and I think as long as I think the constitution is so fairly simply written for anybody to understand it. And if you just look at Article 1.1 that says all sovereign power belongs to the people and it can be exercised directly, I think we're the ones who have to decide what that means. So if Ruto doesn't want to hire commissioners, I think we're learned and educated enough to be like, you know what, fine, the CEO can do it. And the chief of staff or whoever it is there. And I think that's where we are in our country. We're just like, we're outwitting each other. And I really wish we'd be planning on colonizing our colonizers instead of fighting each other. But the reality is that we're just in this situation. And to also answer your second part of the question, I think it's time for Kenyans to actually get actively in politics. And I think what we're hoping to see in the next election is independent candidates who are running for MPs, who are running for MCAs, who are running for Senate, who are running for governor. We don't want this thing to be whipped into a political party. We want people who are educated enough, who understand what they're doing in parliament, who are going there to make decisions on people and for their families, and understand that these are long-lasting choices that we're making, not simpletons. So we want to change the whole tone of how our politics is done, and I think that's what the new generation has shown us. And it was a beautiful time. I don't know if you guys have been to any protests, but there was such a magnetic electricity. It's like I was just born to be there. I don't know if that makes sense. It was.
Did you go to university in Kenya?
Partially.
Okay.
Yes.
Even if you had, some of the things that used to be the highlight of our times had long vanished. We had the JM Day, where we chose the times when we used to protest around the time when exams were around the corner.
Okay.
Yes. And don't ever underestimate the government. Don't ever. All they did was simply change the university timetable. So, yes, so when JM Day came to be, we were all at home. So Don't underestimate.
Yeah.
The government has some of the sharpest people you can ever think of.
It really does.
Yes.
It really does.
Very well educated.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's just sad that they're not applying themselves for the betterment of our country. It's like for short-term political gain. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have 100 acres, 200 acres, 1 acre, 5 acres. You're going to be buried in 6x6, you know?
But you know,
that's a reality.
To be fair to the government.
Yeah.
To be fair. Especially this particular government. You see, we discuss the Ruto presidency as though it's the only presidency we've had since independence. And yet, governments are a continuum. Moi inherited what Kenyatta had done. That's how I'm putting it simply. Kibaki inherited what Nania had done. What's his name again? Moi had done. Uhuru inherited what Kibaki had done. Ruto was in the government, yes, but he wasn't president. He also inherited what Uhuru had done. So some of the things that we see, why I use the word continuum, cannot be blamed on just one government.
I agree. I totally
However,
agree. Yes.
That having been said,
yes,
the blame is interesting, but the solutions are a little more difficult, and perhaps that ought to be our focus. Because we have a love for complaining.
Yeah.
And it feels nice to complain and to moan. It's really good. But it's a lot of energy. Perhaps if that energy was spent.
People propose solutions all the time.
Yeah.
Propose and act.
Yeah. You know, you propose solutions to those that have the mandate to act. Now, it's those that have the mandate to act will actually take it up and act. But if they don't, then you come back and you complain that I told you, let's do this, and you didn't do it. You want me to come and do it? Then get out of office, which is what they did on the 25th of June, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We fired them and they refused to go.
Okay. Hi, Wajiro, it's been an interesting conversation, and thank you very much for joining us today. So what next?
For us,
a
referendum.
I
think that's we're trying to experience to check off all the articles in our constitution and just
a referendum on what?
I think we need to look at our judiciary, our political system, and I think for one of the solutions you're talking about, I think it's very important to focus on education. They say the African saying is it takes a village to raise a child, and when you see like King Charles of England's first visit to Kenya is to talk about our education, I think there's a huge problem with that. And I think if we're teaching people our constitution, if we're teaching them about taxation, if we're teaching them about our political system, then you have a whole entire generation that is actually prepared to deal with what's happening.
Wajiro Mwangi, active citizen, rights defender, has been our guest this morning. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a lovely one.
Your life.
Ubaga. Kenya is among the first African countries who have been allocated thousands of doses of the Mpox vaccine, with the inoculation exercise expected to begin either later this month or next month. The donation was made by Gavi, the European Union, and the United States, which have surplus jobs. In total, the three donated 899,000 doses to 9 African countries, including Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic,